Chapter 801. Mobilization before the war. Konoha village meeting room. It was serious at the moment. Everyone didn't speak too much. More existence is already sinking to the bottom of my heart. For them, Uchiha Madara's plan has to be said. A bit too crazy. How could it be possible to sink into the illusion of his master forever, so that they could accept all the existences who knew the news, frowning and looking gloomy? At this moment, Uchiha Madara has begun to seriously threaten each of them. To say that I thought that with the cooperation of the 5 major ninja villages, Uchiha Madara was terrifying. But it might not be difficult for him. Especially now there is Gong Yi, and the other 4 big shadows. Then there may be no problem with Uchiha Madara. Now, it's different. Now the plans of the Eyes of the Moon have forced them to take it seriously. Because once they are defeated, there will be very serious consequences waiting for them. Their own family members, their own children, their own descendants will all be living in an unrealistic dream. Now, just thinking about this kind of thing makes them clench their fists tightly. To believe. This is not what they expected. How could everyone live forever in a fantasy world? The hearts of a group of core executives in Konoha village couldn't help but curse at this moment. Uchiha Madara is really a lunatic. Yes, it should be called an uncompromising deducted madman. Okay, now that he has informed us of the plan. Seeing everyone go silent, Gong Yi smiled and said, then it is absolutely impossible for us to make Uchiha Madara successful. Soon. Gong Yi's sighed, also immediately. Beginning, it arranged its own later, and began to deploy it. Everyone here, no one dares to question now. At this juncture, they all know that only following orders is the most important thing. At the same time, on the Konoha village side, the mobilization has already begun. The Land of Thunder, in Kumogakure village. In the current conference room. Agent Reikage Dodai, who is also here speaking. Okay, what I'm about to say. That's it for now. Basically it's the same as what Gong Yi said. The thing to do at this moment is to mobilize the emotions first. Of the real seriousness of this war. Otherwise, a group of people will feel that the Great Ninja Village Alliance is what they should be looking at. In the end, it is very likely that bad things will happen. Each other will feel that they have each other, and they will not have to work hard. This final outcome, in fact, the 5 ninja villages have different hearts, but Uchiha Madara has been fulfilled. If this is the case, then it will definitely not be accepted by anyone. Except Gong Yi. The shadows of the other 4 major ninja villages completely prevent such a thing from happening immediately. Gong Yi also wanted to use this war to complete his ultimate plan. However, the shadows of the other 4 major ninja villages have no such idea. Instead, a group of people are here, carefully studying the next countermeasures. Reikage-sama, it is imperative to assemble into the coalition now. Hearing the agent Reikage Dodai, a senior of the Kumogakure village, said helplessly, but the information on the master in our hands is very little. If this is the case, there may be no small obstacles to our next actions. Since you has now formed an alliance with the 5 ninja villages, the information will naturally be shared. Agent Reikage Dodai looked at the executive and responded. We are empty-handed, but we have to ask other villages for information. Hearing this, another high-level executive looked surprised. The other 4 major ninja villages are also cunning, will they tell us easily? The current situation in the ninja world has developed to the current situation. Agent Reikage Dodai shook his head and smiled bitterly, and said, if everyone keeps their hands, I don't think there is any point in forming this ninja coalition. Therefore, now we have to trust the other 4 big ninja villages, and we can only trust the other 4 big ninja villages. Face became serious, and the agent Reikage Dodai looked at everyone in front of him. Uchiha Madara has little time left for us, and now we have no spare time to stop. Maybe now our 5 ninja villages are mobilizing, Uchiha Madara has already started the next step to start the war. Agent Reikage Dodai was thinking a lot at the moment, and he couldn't help but be very worried. Yes, Lord Raikage is right. Now is not the time for intrigue. Uchiha Madara's plan is crazy. Indeed, it's not all ninja villages now, it's time to keep something. Intelligence sharing. This is also a very normal thing after joining forces at present. Agent Raikage Dodai finished speaking. A group of Kumogakure village executives nodded in agreement. At this moment, they are also very nervous. As the agent Raikage Dodai said, if you continue to talk nonsense, you will be hesitant to do anything. Very likely that Uchiha Madara was there. He had already called with Akatsuki. Thinking of all these things, all the senior members of Kumogakure village nodded in agreement. The gathering of the ninja coalition is a must. At the same time, they are also starting to be very serious now. Every high-level executive did not slack at all, and all began to plan in great detail. The next series of arrangements are all related to their future affairs. Soon. Just after the Konoha village has finished everything, the Kumogakure village has officially started to mobilize. All the Kumogakure village ninjas have also begun to be recruited for this kung fu, and their respective high-level executives have also been notified one after another. One of the 5 most powerful ninja villages in the ninja continent. Their various battle reserves and various contingency plans are also very thorough and numerous. Everything started out fairly orderly, and nothing deviates from it. This time, Uchiha Obito, after revealing his plan. It has completely stimulated the nerves of every Omura. Although the current Gongyi, he did not care at all, still, complete his plan. But the rest of the ninja Omura had to be put in their hearts and become the most important thing. Philo reminds you, 3 things to read, collect, and push the latest chapters. Baidu search 99 playmates find 99 novels. Chapter 802, Ninja Power Assemble. Not long. When Konoha village, Kumogakure village's side, has been mobilizing before the war. The Land of Winds, Sunagakure village. The Fourth Ninja World War is roughly like this. Here in Gaara, he also began to tell everything. As for Uchiha Madara's problem, now a high-level mass in Sunagakure village is also feeling serious. And here Kankuro and Tamari are constantly talking while talking. The entire Sunagakure village here, invisibly already understood everything. The Fourth Ninja War that followed was no longer the same level as before. Compared to their previous battles were completely more like petty fights. Because it is clear that this time the battle, if it really fails, then what awaits them next is the fall of the entire ninja continent. Now Uchiha Obito, SI of the Moon Project, this oversized demonic illusion called Infinite Tsukuyomi. It has begun to surprise everyone, enough to fear, and unacceptable. After all, no one wants to be mastered by others using illusions all their lives. In this case, it would be even more uncomfortable than killing them. Living like a disconnected puppet, how could they, as ninjas, want to accept it? Therefore, when Gaara has said enough here, it is clear enough. The entire Sunagakure village has already begun to arrange and mobilize. Now that they have been seriously threatened, everyone has also put down their hatred for each other. Even between villages and villages, there has been a gap before. However, now they all understand that this is not the time to be arrogant. S not here, and it's time to refute anything. The Land of Water, Kurigakure village. When the Konoha Kumogakure Sunagakure mobilized, the time was almost in sync. Mizukage Terumi Mei, she is announcing all the next things with a serious face. The Fourth Ninja World War has begun. Now Terumi Mei is also showing a face that is not allowed to refute. This skill has come to the point where the arrow has no choice but to strike. But, today is unprecedented. All the high-level officials of Kurigakure village did not say much, but showed a very solemn appearance. Uchiha Madara, SI of the Moon Project is not only threatening a single ninja village. The rest of the ninja villages all know that now they are not sticking to the rules of the Kurigakure village. Now that it is necessary to unite the power of ninjas to fight against Uchiha Madara and Akatsuki. Then, the high-level officials of Kurigakure village, no one will speak out and refute Terumi Mei's plans. Mobilization before the war, and the subsequent sharing of intelligence. There are also a series of things that must be done before the war starts. All the high-level officials of Kurigakure village have acquiesced. The next thing is simple. Then there is only one, and it goes down layer by layer, and it is arranged layer by layer. Apart from these, there is no other nonsense. Here in Kurigakure village, arrangements have also begun without further delay. All the Kurigakure village ninjas are also starting to return to the mission point in the inland at this moment. At this moment in the entire ninja world, all the quests began to decline. All the people have already begun to prepare for the next war. Then, it's almost synchronous. One night after the Five Shadows Conference. The land of Earth, Iwagakure village. At this moment, the conference room of Nuoto was also full of people. At this moment, Onoki is in the first place, and Gong Yi's spiritual avatar, Yamazaki Akaki, is sitting next to him. Front, there are 2 rows of core high-level and elders of Iwagakure village. Of the war and the mobilization of ninja power or not, Onoki can do it alone. Here, other high-level forces are still needed to mobilize. Only when everyone works together can everything be done more quickly and efficiently. Well, this is why all the ninja villages, before the real mobilization of ninja power, all will first notify all senior management to hold this meeting. First, they must be notified first, so that they can make better plans in the future. The second is that after the high-level people know about it, they can also quickly assemble the troops and notify them. A big ninja village is actually inseparable from everyone. Now it can be known that even though Shadow is the most powerful existence in the entire ninja village. But once such a thing occurs, he also needs to negotiate with all the high-level officials. In addition to expressing respect, it is also to make the entire ninja village run faster. Onoki at this moment, the reason why the meeting is held is exactly the same. He has been Master Iwagakure for decades, and the higher-ups below him are generally obedient. Unlike other ninja villages, the village of Iwagakure controlled by Onoki is still very solid. Basically, that's all, you understand now. Onoki sat in the first place with a serious face and asked. Now basically what has to be said, Onoki is also completely finished here. Next, it's time to arrange. Understood Tsuchikage. Give an order, Tsuchikage-sama. Iwagakure village ninjas who were silent for half a second also nodded one after another. They don't have much to say, and now they're all here waiting to be dispatched. Onoki has made it very clear that for Uchiha Madara's plan, they naturally have to do their best to stop it. 5 major ninja villages have joined forces, and they can't just sit still. It's not too long. Throughout the ninja world, all the ninja villages have begun official operations. Uchiha Obito, this time, after announcing his plan without any hesitation. There is no ninja village at all, how dare you keep the rest of your mind? In their eyes, it is the best choice for the 5 ninjas to join forces now. At the same time, what they are most concerned about is how to destroy Uchiha Madara's plan. As for other issues, it is not what they are currently thinking about. For a group of ninjas on the ninja continent, Uchiha Obito's Eye of the Moon project is undoubtedly the craziest. But any ninja absolutely does not want his future life to be controlled by demonic illusion. Soon. There are 5 major ninja villages including Konoha Village, Kurigakure Village, Sunagakure Village, Iwagakure Village, and Kumogakure Village. They have already completed the mobilization, and now they have all launched the Ninja Power Assembly. And as the 5 Shadows, they are also coming to the country of Iron for the second time. They are ready to negotiate the next arrangement plan. Chapter 803. The Second Meeting. The first 5 Shadows meeting was disturbed by Uchiha Obito. From the beginning, I wanted to discuss things together to encircle and suppress Akatsuki. Of a sudden, the 5 villages joined forces to form a coalition to resist Uchiha Obito. Although they don't know Uchiha Madara, they are actually Uchiha Obito in disguise. And Uchiha Obito, SI of the Moon Clan, is actually not that scary. However, at this moment, only Gong Yi thinks so. The rest of them, the rest of the ninjas, naturally didn't even think about it. Therefore, the first 5 shadows meeting ended hastily with everyone thinking about it. Today, when everything has been prepared for the second 5 shadows conference, they were still in the mood to start. It looks like everyone is ready today. Agent Reikage Dodai, seeing everyone sitting here, couldn't help but be the first to speak. Now everyone's face, although still serious, but not as heavy as before. Apparently, everyone seems to have already arranged everything about the ninja army now. So far, in fact, this is the only way to make people feel more stable. The situation is urgent right now. There was not much expression on Gaara's face, and she responded lightly, make arrangements as soon as possible now to avoid accidents in the future. Akatsuki, who should be now, has stepped on his head. What if he's not ready? Onoki said the same with a sullen face. Now obviously, the hatred between Onoki and Akatsuki, unless one of them is ended. Otherwise, with Onoki's stubborn character, he wouldn't give up at all. After all, Akatsuki's side has indeed done too much damage to the village of Iwagakure in Onoki. Don't say it's Onoki, maybe it's someone else, and Akatsuki and I may never die. If there is no doubt about it, don't say it again. When he still wanted someone to speak, Mifune shrugged and said, we're running out of time, let's start the meeting first. Hear this, when everyone is silent. Mifune continued, first it is about the arrangement of the Kyuubi, Nine Tails Jinchuriki column force, then the enemy headquarters, and information on the combat power. I think the current information on Akatsuki and Uchiha Madara may not be too worrying. Soon as Mifune finished speaking, Gong Yi spoke first. After we ended the meeting, I have already sent a pair of elite members to use clues to find the suspected enemy headquarters. Of course, it could also be a trap. Wait, someone speaks again, Gong Yi continues. The specific situation requires follow-up reports and reconnaissance. Although now Gong Yi knows. Dispatched by herself, she will discover the location of Uchiha Obito. At the same time, 100,000 interest will also be found. But it will be hard work, and Gong Yi has not said it now. Once too much information is leaked, it will undoubtedly make people suspicious. In order not to let it go, I set myself on fire. At present, Gong Yi also decided to hide it first. Now on my side, I have also started to form a reconnaissance team and are constantly collecting information. Thoughts, the agent Reikage Dodai said in a deep voice. Since we have joined forces at this moment, we should quickly exchange information from each village. This is the most efficient way. That's right. Mizukage Terumi nodded and said in agreement, Uchiha Madara has begun to seriously threaten us, and the exchange of information will also facilitate the next thing. Then let's form another unit to gather information. Gong Yi knocked on the table and suggested. That's a good idea. Onoki nodded and couldn't help but agree. Now is not the time to keep information, and if you keep wasting it like this, it will only make Akatsuki's side more successful. That's a good idea. Acting Reikage Dodai, he also nodded and said, if countries only consider their own national interests now, Akatsuki may really take the lead. Then next, about the Kyuubi, Nine Tails Jinchuriki column force, how do you want to arrange it? Mifune had a puzzled look on his face, and at this moment began to ask. At present, the 3 tails are still in the hands of Gong Yi, and of course they all don't know Akatsuki. In the entire ninja world continent have completely believed that 1 tail to 8 tails are all in the hands of Akatsuki Master. In the ninja continent, only Gong Yi Master, S. Konoha Village, Kyubi, Ninetales, People Jinchuriki, Column Forces left. Kyubi, Ninetales, no need to arrange. At this time, Gongyi said lightly, now Kyubi, Ninetales, Jinchuriki, Column Force, as long as he is in my Konoha village, he will never have any problems. Not that Gongyi is confident enough at the moment, but that he doesn't think it is necessary at all to transfer Naruto. Now normally, it should be called Naruto and the Killer Bee Jinchuriki, Column Force Killer Bee of Kumogakure Village, and left the ninja world directly. For this reason, the two officially log on to Turtle Island, and Killer Bee teaches Naruto to control Kyubi, Ninetales. In the Fourth Ninja War also unfolded from this. Of course, currently Gongyi doesn't need this. Not to mention Yao Killer Bee, who was killed by himself in the battle between the two armies. Even if Killer Bee is here, Gongyi will not follow the plot. Currently, Gongyi has also helped Naruto before, and was simply familiar with Kyubi, Ninetales. Thus, now Naruto just needs to stay in Konoha village, basically nothing will happen. This will be kung fu. In fact, these things are not the key. Gongyi's real goal is not to get rid of Uchiha Madara and stop his plan. So now discussing these, for Gongyi actually doesn't make much sense. It's not entirely certain what Uchiha Madara's plans are right now though. Seeing the embarrassed expressions on the other 5 people's faces, Gongyi raised the corner of his mouth and smiled, but now I am absolutely sure that he, Uchiha Madara, would never dare to step into my Konoha village at all. You just need to rest assured. The smile on his face undiminished, Gongyi said lightly, Kyubi, Ninetales, Jinchuriki, Column Force is the last key point in Uchiha Madara's plan. With me, naturally, he won't be able to easily succeed. And at this moment, the other 5 people, heard Gongyi finish saying this. Now that they think about it carefully, they can actually understand it invisibly. So far, in fact, it seems that the Kyubi, Ninetales, Jinchuriki, Column Force is indeed the safest to stay by Gongyi's side. Simply blindly transferring is likely to have the opposite effect. Thinking of this, the 5 of them could not help but nodded and agreed, that's fine too. Chapter 804. Rear Headquarters. Okay, now that the Kyubi, Ninetales aspect has been resolved. When everyone agreed, Terumi may continue to ask, then the rear headquarters of our coalition forces should be located there, which is the safest place. As the command post in the rear of the coalition forces, it must not be sloppy. At this time, Mifune said in a deep voice. Now assigning the rear of the entire coalition as the master, its role is very crucial. Now about its establishment location, no one is the first to say. And they are all thinking. I think it would be better to set up the command post in the rear of the coalition forces in Kumogakure village in the Land of Thunder. Everyone was contemplating. Gongyi's voice came out, only to hear him say slowly now, in the entire ninja continent, I think only Kumogakure village is the most suitable. Hokage, what are you saying? Agent Reikage Dodai asked with a confused look on his face. The rest of Mifune and the others also looked towards Gongyi and waited for his answer. It's actually very simple, because the terrain of Kumogakure village is more suitable for it. Gongyi didn't ignore Dodai at the moment, but explained slowly. Iwagakure village in the Land of Earth, where Tsuchikage is now, the geographical environment is a bit unsuitable for action, and there are too many junctures in front of the Land of Earth. Including the country of birds, the country of rain, the country of grass, the country of Taki, and the country of frost. If the location of Iwagakure village becomes a command post, it will be difficult for Akatsuki to effectively defend the command post first if he wants to attack first. And the country of wind, which is Sunagakure village in Kazekage, has an even harsher climate, and there are too many gates ahead. As for the Konoha village in the country of fire, it is surrounded by all the big villages, and it is the core position, so it is more difficult to defend against Akatsuki's attack. So in fact, at a simple glance, everyone can already think in their hearts that only Kumogakure village is an excellent place that is easy to defend and difficult to attack. Seeing that no one was talking, Gong Yi smiled and continued to speak. Now the front gate of the Kingdom of Thunder is only a barren land, and then it is surrounded by the sea. Even here in Akatsuki, it is very difficult for them to attack the headquarters. And with Kumogakure village as the center, it can also send information to the outer battlefield faster, because starting from the country of thunder, whether it reaches the country of fire, the country of wind, or the country of soil, in fact, it's not that much of a time difference. Indeed, it seems to be the most correct choice to set up Kumogakure village as a rear command. Hearing Gong Yi finish, Mifune nodded in agreement. Gong Yi said at the moment is actually very reasonable. Akatsuki behaves in a weird way, and doing so will catch everyone off guard. And after controlling the coalition of the 5 major ninja villages, its safety is the top priority. Because once the headquarters that controls the ninja coalition falls, it will instantly enter a state of collapse. That is responsible for the control and command, and the troops are distributed in various locations on the ninja continent. Therefore, the headquarters here is a top priority. Indeed, if you look at it this way, it's actually more practical here in Kumogakure. Onoki nodded, still agreeing. Now he is actually more concerned about not these things, but about how to defeat Akatsuki next. After all, so far, Onoki can't wait under the current situation. How to completely eliminate Akatsuki, this is what Onoki needs to care about. Now that's what Hokage says. Normally, Kumogakure is the safest village. Then just set up the rear headquarters of our coalition forces directly in Kumogakure village. Terumi Mei and Gaara also expressed their opinions one after another. Hearing Gong Yi's simple analysis, no one felt inappropriate. Now the rear headquarters must be kept clear at all times. At the same time, the current rear headquarters is also the lifeblood of the entire 5-village coalition. Hearing Mifune and Sekage finish speaking, the agent Reikage Dodai, who had not spoken for a while, also fell into a thoughtful expression. Briefly thinking about it and weighing the pros and cons, Dodai also nodded. Then it seems that the headquarters does not have a good position to set up besides my Kumogakure village. At present, in order to take into account the overall situation, the current agent Reikage Dodai has to agree. Normally, a village of ninja village, it is the core. Under normal circumstances, the outer village ninja is absolutely not allowed to enter. What's more, this time, all the forces of the other 4 major ninja villages were gathered together. In fact, this is a very taboo thing. But so far, there is really no way to refuse. Uchiha Madara and Akatsuki have already provoked their heads. And also announced his ambitious plan, which made everyone have to really let go of their guard. Although Dodai thought about it a lot, he kept it all in his heart and didn't talk about it anymore. Okay, since the establishment of the headquarters has now been settled, then we can go back and prepare. 3 days later, we will take each other's large troops and directly enter the village of Kumogakure to officially enter the war. Gong Yi knocked on the table and said without further ado. Now that the decision has been made at this moment, there is no need to talk nonsense anymore. And then there's just 2 things. The first is to obtain information on Uchiha Madara and Akatsuki. The second thing is to start the distribution of the ninja coalition and start the battle. Everything has been discussed, and the rest of the 4 shadows, Mifune and others also nodded. Now Gong Yi, as the general of the coalition army, still has the power to speak during this war. After a simple arrangement, the second 5 shadows conference talks ended successfully. Dodai, on the Kumogakure side, immediately went back to make arrangements. The rest of the shadows are preparing to return to the village and set off to Kumogakure village with a large force. The entire Calm Ninja continent, after this meeting, is once again a storm. And this time, it's just not against each other, but simply limited to Uchiha Obito and his Akatsuki. Uchiha Obito, after he announced his plans. Invisibly, it also helped Gong Yi busy. Because all the ninja villages are actively preparing for the battle, it also saves Gongyi wasting time to guide them. All the ninja villages have realized the seriousness of the matter. To read the Chapter 805, arrange the deployment of troops. Into the night. Konoha Village, Hokage Office. Shikaku, Sensei, how are things going on your side? Gongyi looked up at Nara Shikaku and asked him. After the second Five Shadows meeting, Gongyi returned immediately in the Iron Country. Now that everything has been finalized, Gongyi has nothing to worry about. Next, you just need to arrange your own affairs completely. It's almost no problem. Nara Shikaku nodded. Yamanaka, he expressed his willingness to support your plan. Very good, then we can continue with the next arrangement. Hearing Nara Shikaku finish speaking, Gongyi smiled and said solemnly. For now, he doesn't appear too excited. On the contrary, Gongyi could have guessed all of this. The reason why I want to subdue Nara Shikaku, in disguise, is because I want to make things more convenient for me in the future. Yamanaka Inoichi, this time, if there is no Nara Shikaku, you need to persuade yourself. But now with Nara Shikaku, I naturally don't need to trouble myself. With Nara Shikaku here, he will do everything possible to convince Yamanaka Inoichi. All my guesses are also completely correct, and there are not too many deviations. At least for now, the decision was the right one. Now the matter of Nara Shikaku and Yamanaka Inoichi has been resolved. Then the deputy staff officers and intelligence troops behind the Master's coalition are all his own. Basically, the matter of the Jonin allied forces can be arranged by the Master at will. There will be no embarrassing surprises if you wait until later. Now this is also the reason why Gongyi would not hesitate to take advantage of Uchiha Shisui's Koto Amatsukami and control Nara Shikaku. Because of the follow-up things, they still need their cooperation very much. I don't know, Hokage-sama, what is your next plan? Nara Shikaku's face showed confusion, and the whole person was actually very worried. Now the Fourth Ninja World War is about to start faster and faster. And after the second Five Shadows talks ended, they were about to set off with a large army. Then Nara Shikaku, after knowing Gongyi's plan at this moment, can't help but be very concerned. Now he doesn't want to mess this up. If it is really revealed, then wait for the Konoha village. Would make Nara Shikaku unimaginable. Even when he dissuaded Yamanaka before, he was completely suspicious. When Yamanaka Inoichi heard about Gongyi's plan, he couldn't help feeling that Gongyi was too crazy. But there is Nara Shikaku's side. Yamanaka Inoichi can only agree. At the same time, he must also do his best to complete all the next things. Because of this matter, for them, only success is allowed, not failure. Each of them feels that the fate of failure is not something they can afford at all. If it really fails, the entire Konoha village may be caught in fire and water. So now for these Gongyi's plans, they are even more serious than Gongyi. Although Gongyi can master the overall situation, he knows that his plan will never fail. But Nara Shikaku and Yamanaka Inoichi, they really can't estimate 100%. The next arrangement is also very simple. Hearing Nara Shikaku asking here, Gongyi didn't answer in a deep voice. Now 3 days later, I will personally lead the large force and officially enter Kumogakure village. And the 21,000, the famous cannon fodder, now I will take all of them away, and the remaining 20,000 real ninja powers are left behind in the village. Gongyi didn't hide much, but told Nara Shikaku about himself. Because next, Gongyi also needs Nara Shikaku to help him arrange. Thinking of this, Gongyi also said slowly, the next thing you need to do, Shikaku-sensei, is to first inform the 20,000 ninjas of their power, and for the next part of the plan, don't let them act rashly, just wait for my follow-up orders. I understand, Hokage-sama. Nara Deer Machine nodded and responded. However, before Gongyi could speak again, Nara Shikaku continued to ask, but Hokage-sama, if this time all the 21 quadrillion cannon fodder ninjas and the rest of the ninja village will be used, will they find out? Right now, this is something that must be considered. Of ninjas seems to be quite numerous. However, if each of the signature ninjas of Konoha village is inside, it is likely to be suspected. After all, Konoha village has developed very powerfully, and there are many famous ninjas in the outside world. Akatsuki is widely known by other ninja villages, even more so. This time, after bringing 20,000 ninjas over, although there are quite a few, there are no real powerful ninjas in the lineup. How could a group of old and cunning guys not doubt that Nara Shikaku is actually thinking a lot at this time? Hihi, Shikaku-sensei doesn't need to worry about that. Shaking his head, Gongyi said with a smile, although the 21,000 ninjas I'm carrying are all irrelevant cannon fodder. But Kakashi might guy, there. Excellent ninja powers, I'll be in there too. As for the rest of the family, as well as some of their respective elite ninja teams, I will also be involved in this cannon fodder team to confuse the public. Saying that, Gongyi looked at Nara Shikaku. So, now they won't notice anything at all. The question that Nara Shikaku thought about, and now Gongyi naturally thinks about it as well. How could Gongyi make such a low-level mistake now? Since it is already planned to plot the entire ninja continent, it is naturally impossible to plan it casually. Over the years, Gongyi has repeatedly scrutinized this plan. No one will ever see his plan, and no one will actually find out. Unless you are at the current position now, tell everyone yourself. Otherwise, no one in the entire ninja continent would want to be able to discover their own plans. It's not that the current Gongyi is arrogant, but that he is very confident. In the entire ninja continent, he is completely master. As for everything that follows, there is nothing to worry about at all. Chapter 806. Obito's Lifeline. Time passed quickly. It is now into the night. Gongyi has left Konoha village after talking with Nara Shikaku. The art of Hiraishin is activated. When he reappears, he has come to the edge of the fire country. Then, just a few breaths, Gongyi entered the land of grass. The dense jungle, there is a cave. When he just entered here, the air in front of him also began to twist. Uchiha Obito, he stepped out of it directly. What did you call me to do? Gongyi looked at Uchiha Obito and asked lightly. Hokage office before, Gongyi received a message from Uchiha Obito. I came here now, naturally because Uchiha Obito wanted to meet him. Now that the matter is over, should you also leave it to me, Mio? Uchiha Obito shrugged and looked at Gongyi. Oh. Hearing this, Gongyi suddenly realized, I really forgot. I have fulfilled your request, and I hope you, Hokage, can also keep your promise. Seeing Gongyi's somewhat mocking look, Uchiha Obito's face behind the mask gradually became gloomy. He now completely feels that the 5 generations of Hokage Gongyi in front of him already have the idea of removing the grind and killing the donkey. This is not what Uchiha Obito can accept. Now resurrecting 10 tails, just 3 tails and Kyuubi, 9 tails. So for Uchiha Obito, it's not too late to get it as soon as possible. Of course I won't deceive you, and I won't lie about it either. Looking at Uchiha Obito's appearance, Gongyi also said with a funny smile, but you recklessly exposed your plans at the 5 Shadows meeting before, so why do you think that I will hand over the 3 tails to you? Your current Eye of the Moon plan has even threatened me. A sarcastic expression, Gongyi quietly looked at Uchiha Obito in front of him. Quote. At this moment, with Gongyi's voice just falling, Uchiha Obito also fell silent. Now he actually feels that his previous plan has been completely deviated. At that time, at the 5 Shadows meeting, he revealed his plan, which made Uchiha Obito feel inappropriate afterwards. Seeing the 5 ninja villages gradually unite, Uchiha Obito couldn't help but feel gloomy. Because it seems, I am currently planning on Gongyi's own plan, which seems to allow the Fourth Ninja World War to really start. And all the ninja villages, at this moment, watched Yuli gather the power of ninjas. Invisibly, this actually makes Gong Yi's plan more perfect. Because now all of their ninja villages, the more power they put out, the more they weakened afterwards. At the same time, Gong Yi is now more convenient here, and all his plans will be arranged later. But here, it's a little bit bad. Apparently Uchiha Obito, when he heard Gong Yi finish speaking, his face became even more remorseful. Why, Hokage, you are starting to be afraid of my plan now. After returning to his senses, Uchiha Obito sneered, my Moonai plan is still very good. Hee, master in your illusion, I have no interest in this illusory thing. Gong Yi twitched the corners of his mouth with a smile, and replied without giving up, now there is only my plan, which truly achieves the ultimate unification, and is the most perfect way. Your so-called Moonai project, and infinite Tsukuyomi, are just a joke in my eyes. As soon as Gong Yi finished speaking, he threw a scroll in his arms directly to Uchiha Obito. There's three-tailed chakra, enough for you to give to Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path. With the smile on his face undiminished, Gong Yi continued, but at this moment, I have already set the barrier, so if you want to open it, you need to help me. What did you say? As soon as Gong Yi finished speaking, Uchiha Obito's aura changed instantly. You are kidding me. Now Uchiha Obito, he has vaguely started to get angry. Gong Yi was obviously taking advantage of himself before. Today, he is still holding the tailed beast and wants to threaten himself. At the same time, he can clearly see that he has been completely fooled by Gong Yi. I didn't expect the dignified fifth-generation Hokage to be such an unbelievable villain. Uchiha Obito looked at Gong Yi and said angrily. Hee, thank you for exaggerating. Gong Yi doesn't think so. He still smiled indifferently. Ninja World continent is intriguing, and now I don't even have this basic common sense, so how can I survive? Just like you, Obito, if you don't deceive, how could you be like this? With a hint of sarcasm on his face, Gong Yi said slowly. His few words made Uchiha Obito speechless again. Now that Uchiha Obito was beaten to death, he never thought that Gong Yi would show himself. You're right. This time. Uchiha Obito, who was silent for a moment, lost the angry aura on his body before. Instead, from now on, Uchiha Obito has calmed down. He looked at Gong Yi and said coldly, then our cooperation can naturally be terminated, and now you don't want to get any benefits from me. Terminate. Hearing Uchiha Obito's almost threatening tone, Gong Yi was not moved at all. A while, he just shrugged his shoulders lightly and said, that's really a pity, you may never see your Moonai plan complete one day. Let's not talk about the three tails, you can't find and get it if you don't pass me. Saying that, Gong Yi smiled even more and continued, only with the power of Kyubi, Nine Tails Jinchuriki column, I don't think you have any chance of getting him. After all, I feel that since the partnership has ended, I will take him with me for a long time. Gong Yi's few words made Uchiha Obito really want to explode inwardly. He didn't expect that the cooperation with Gong Yi would be so passive. This moment, now I know clearly that Gong Yi has played himself here. But Uchiha Obito, he really has no way. He once thought that he had calculated the entire ninja world. But when Uchiha Obito, he met Gong Yi, but doubted life. Now he can't believe it, and it's even more difficult to understand. How could Gong Yi catch his lifeline so easily? To read the Chapter 807. What do you want? Uchiha Obito turned his head to the side, and now his fists were clenched, and he was ready to strike at any moment. At this moment, Uchiha Obito's body was cold, and he said in a deep voice, now you think, I can still trust you. It's not about you now whether you trust me or not. Gong Yi shrugged and replied with a smile, it's you now, you have to trust me. Besides, believe me, you have no other way. Because only I am the key to your completion of the Eye of the Moon plan. As Gongyi, who has completely mastered Uchiha Obito's heart, he has no worries at all. He knew that with Uchiha Obito's words, he wouldn't dare to break the contract at all. At present, his master, Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, has absorbed the seven-tailed beast. Obviously, only the 3 tails and Kyubi, 9 tails, are left, and the truly ultimate plan can be completed. So with Uchiha Obito's character, even if there is a 1 in 10 million chance, he will never miss it. Now Uchiha Obito, although in the eyes of others, has become Uchiha Madara. He can use space ninjutsu. He also owns Sharingan Rinnegan. Pity that these things that everyone is afraid of are irrelevant to Gongyi. As long as Gongyi thinks about it now, he will solve Uchiha Obito in an instant. That Uchiha Obito is proud of are completely vulnerable in Gongyi's eyes. And because of this, it was also the reason why Uchiha Obito didn't act easily at the moment. Because who knows what Gongyi is doing now, this is deliberately embarrassing him, and wants to continue to make him pave the way too much. But Uchiha Obito, he also held back and did not do it. He knew that even if he did it now, it would be meaningless at all. At present, his plan could be successful in sight. Well, Uchiha Obito doesn't want to get entangled with Gongyi. The complicated thoughts in his mind kept coming. Thinking of this, Uchiha Obito also loosened clenched fists. He asked helplessly, "What do you want to do next? Your choice is clearly the right one." Seeing Uchiha Obito compromise, Gongyi didn't go too far. Instead, he smiled, looked at Uchiha Obito and continued, "This time you just need to help me according to my business, this is relieved. Sanwei's hand seal, I will naturally give it to you. Actually, your resurrection of 10 tails is also a good thing for me, so I will help you resurrect it." Of his mouth twitched, and now Gongyi also gave Uchiha Obito a reassurance. It is exactly as Gongyi said. He still needs the 10 tails resurrected. If 10 tails are not resurrected, then everything after that cannot be staged. At the same time, Otsutsuki Kagaya will not come out either. So, Gongyi did even help Uchiha Obito to bring him back to life. 10 tails. Help me bring 10 tails back to life. Uchiha Obito hummed when he heard the words. Now what Gongyi said, Uchiha Obito naturally didn't believe a word of it. The reason why he finally decided to help Gongyi again. Then Uchiha Obito is actually gambling. At this moment, apart from this method, Uchiha Obito has no better decision at all. Fighting with the rest of Gongyi may end up frustrating his own plans. Then Uchiha Obito can't help but gamble again. Now Uchiha Obito has thought about what kind of routine he wants to play with himself once Gongyi goes. Then he couldn't help showing mercy, and immediately announce the scandals of Gongyi's cooperation with him. At the same time, Uchiha Obito couldn't help but feel cold in his heart. He was already thinking at this moment, until he resurrected 10 tails and became 10 tails Jinchuriki column force. Then the first thing to solve is the 5 generations of Hokage Gongyi in front of me. Uchiha Obito actually hated Gongyi. He felt that without Gongyi, his next plan would be very smooth. Pity that everything that I have thought about before will not be realized at this moment. Because of the current Gongyi, he has stopped in front of him. I just need you to help me do one thing next. Gongyi ignored Uchiha Obito's hatred and said, "That's right. As I said before, now use your 100,000 Ju and your impure world reincarnation army to weaken the 4 major forces as much as possible for me. Ninja power in Ninja Village." Gongyi's voice just finished, and now Uchiha Obito's heart is stunned. 100,000 impure world reincarnation army. How can Gongyi know about this now? Uchiha Obito's face behind the mask is already full of shock that is hard to say. News. Now the 5th generation of Hokage in front of him, he has already clearly mastered his own power, Soon, Uchiha Obito suppressed the shock in his heart and did not speak anymore. Since you didn't veto it, then I'll take it as your promise. Gong Yi shrugged. He naturally knows Uchiha Obito and is also very stubborn. Now that he has a kung fu and is completely restrained by himself, he naturally needs face. The two cooperated, and Gong Yi did not continue to sneer at him here. Otherwise, if Uchiha Obito is really annoyed, there is no benefit at all for the next arrangement. Thinking of this, Gong Yi smiled and was about to leave. I don't even know the root of your ninja coalition now. At this time, Gong Yi was about to activate the Hiraishin technique. Uchiha Obito said coldly, then even if I want to help you weaken the power of the rest of the ninja village, it will not be satisfactory. You don't need to worry about this. Turning his head to the side, Gong Yi responded. 3 days later, the 5 major ninja villages will use Kumogakure village, the Land of Thunder, as the rear command post, and then the other 4 ninja villages will bring their large troops there, and that will be the time when the route will be allocated. Time. When the time comes, I will use the secret technique to inform you. Without concealing anything, Gong Yi would suddenly stop before he left. He seemed to remember something, and smiled lightly. Oh, by the way, now the base where you hide the 100,000 must have been exposed, and the ninja team I sent should have also discovered it. That's right. The current Gong Yi has completely exposed the ninja troops on Enko's side to Uchiha Obito. Because Enko has the Master Orochimaru spell seal, it can also help Kabuto to better master Impure World Reincarnation. So with a little push for progress, Gong Yi is naturally very happy. Chapter 808. Allied forces of the 6 parties gather. Time is dazzling, and the years are passing by. When Uchiha Obito, as Uchiha Madara, officially declared war, the entire 5 ninja villages are also busy. In their respective villages all wore ninja combat uniforms, and their faces showed seriousness and determination. Of every ninja village has no civilians. Now all of them are densely packed with ninjas. They are all carrying supplies and arranging their own ninja teams. At this moment, no one dares to slack off anywhere now. Because of Uchiha Madara's plan, everyone has been fully informed. Now they all know that if they don't fight hard to protect their homes now, then your relatives and family, as well as the descendants of your children and grandchildren, will live a life without peace and illusion. The 3-day period has arrived. At this moment in Konoha village, Gong Yi set off with a large force after a few simple mobilizations. Most of the 21,000 famous ninjas can be sacrificed. And the Konoha 12 Shaoqiang, except Naruto, were all arranged by Gong Yi. And then Nara Shikaku, and other older generation Ino Shikacho, are among them. As for Kakashi, Might Guy and others were also arranged into the team. At first glance, Gong Yi has indeed dispatched the strongest lineup in the entire Konoha village. Meanwhile, it's not just Konoha village here. In Sunagakure village, Gaara, wearing a cage robe, also set off with Kankuro and Tamari. Behind the 3 of them was the army of Sunagakure village, who also looked serious. And Kurigakure village had already set off on the road at this moment because of the slightly distant terrain. On the rough sea, there are already countless ships galloping forward. Terumi Mei, with Chojuro and Ao, was standing on the bow ahead. There was concern on her face. The 4th ninja war this time, according to common sense, should be the first large-scale battle in the village of Kurigakure. Because they were an island country before, they avoided and did not participate in several ninja wars in the inland. Even if they intervened, it was only on a small scale, and there was no such thing as a ninja army of over 10,000. Therefore, Terumi Mei is still a little worried about all this unknown war. After all, this time, he brought out most of the power of Kurigakure village. In other words, this war can only be successful and not allowed to fail. The Land of Earth, Iwagakure village. It can be seen that in the current Onoki, with the mighty Sunagakure village ninjas, they are about to enter the Kumogakure village. Now Onoki has no reservations at all, and the ninja power of Iwagakure village is pouring out. Obviously, for this encirclement and suppression of Akatsuki, as well as against Uchiha Madara, completely spared no effort. At the same time, it can also be seen that now Onoki really vowed to never die with Akatsuki. Walk on the road. Next to him was Gongyi's divine avatar, Yamazaki Akashi. After Lois died, Onoki began to focus on him. Of his master is also not small in the current divine consciousness clone. Following the troops, the avatar of consciousness looked at Onoki with a serious face next to him, and he couldn't help but sneer in his heart. This time, the order Gongyi gave him was very simple. That is to replace it, Onoki, and then master the entire Iwagakure village. With this war, Gongyi has already thought about it. He will never let Onoki survive this battle. At the same time, with the help of this turmoil, Onoki, a thorny scourge, just happened to be able to get rid of Gongyi directly. All the grievances, Gongyi will be completely resolved in this fourth ninja war. And when this battle is over, everything will usher in real unity and peace. And Gongyi can be completely master and become the real master on this ninja world continent. It's not long. On the side of the country of iron, Mifune also entered the country of thunder with a group of warriors in heavy armor. 6 parties have joined forces, and now no one dares to be careless at all. In the Kingdom of Thunder, it was supposed to be a closed country, but at this moment the door is also open because of them. Now in the entire capital, you can see the ninjas of Kumogakure village along the way. Although they have already joined hands and cooperated sincerely. But the real situation is still unspoken. The village of Kumogakure is still uneasy, and now a lot of ninjas have entered here. This is not a single village, but the 4 major ninja villages headed by Konoha village. And each village will bring tens of thousands of ninja powers after entering. In order to prevent some unexpected situations from happening, the ninjas here in Kumogakure village are also out in full force to stand firm. Just half a day, the 4 major ninja villages have all come to Kumogakure village. The spacious Kumogakure village was already crowded at this moment, and the whole area below looked crowded. Some have Konoha 4-head guards, some have Sunagakure's 4-head guards, and some have Iwagakure's 4-head guards. Their appearance makes the entire Kumogakure village seem a little too small. Kumogakure village, Central Administration Building. Agent Reikage Dodai, he sits in the conference room. Front, are Gongyi, Terumi Mei and others. Now when they all arrived, they all gathered here. At present, all the ninja powers of their respective villages have been brought here. Then, at the same time, they also officially needed to form a coalition. A group of people are currently sitting here, and they are officially studying all the arrangements that follow. The number of ninja troops, the reserves brought by each village, and all kinds of related things. After the 6 people simply finished talking to each other, the entire ninja coalition has already had an approximate amount this time. Konoha village, Gongyi brought a total of 21,000 ninjas here. The most powerful ninja of all ninjas. Naturally, they didn't know that these all were useless cannon fodder that Gongyi could sacrifice at any time. Therefore, after hearing the number of ninjas brought by Gongyi, I can't help but marvel at this time Gongyi is really serious. And here in Iwagakure village, now Onoki also brings 18,000 Iwagakure village ninjas. At the same time, here in Kurigakure village, here in Sunagakure village. And each brought tens of thousands of ninjas. Simple statistics and aggregation. Now the 5 major ninja villages and the warriors of the Iron Country have reached a total of more than 90,000. This is an unprecedented power. It is because of such a huge ninja power that everyone is full of confidence without knowing it. Baidu search 99 Playmates find 99 novels net and LT, otherwise the collection IP. Chapter 809. Anko Squad, 3rd. When the 6-party allied forces have begun to gather in Kumogakure village. In a certain jungle in the ninja continent. Is very dense here, and several ninjas from Konoha village are also hiding here. Anko, take a rest first, you can't be so tense all the time. A makeshift rest area where Anko 4 of 4 are sitting. Konoha-janen looked at Anko and said with a shrug. The battle is imminent, and now we must collect more intelligence as soon as possible. Anko looked serious and said in a deep voice, now the entire coalition is also waiting for our next information, and it can't be delayed for too long. Anko team assigned by Gongyi has arrived at the base suspected of Uchiha Madara and Akatsuki. She, at this moment, is quietly thinking about her next move. And in front of it, Hyuga Tokuma, who belongs to the Hyuga clan, is constantly monitoring the surroundings. Other side, Aburame, a member of the Aburame family, kept releasing his own bugs to search the periphery. Now the whole team cooperates very tacitly, and all kinds of facilities are fully equipped. Come on. While Anko is still there, talking to Konoha-janen, Aburame hides immediately. Said aloud. Hearing Aburame's voice, Anko and the other two immediately followed suit. Looked towards him. I saw the ground in front of Aburame's ang, and several white bugs had crawled out of it and came to his hands. No way. After the worm squirmed a few times, Aburame's ang, who seemed to have received the news, frowned. The white snake who just entered here, that chakra is Kabuto. Hyuga Tokuma looked at Anko and said solemnly, this is their base, no doubt. I just asked the bugs to search the surrounding area, and there is a considerable life form reaction in the entire underground ahead. His hand, Aburame Kurai also spoke in a deep voice. Dejian, 4 o'clock below, directions. With the constant squirming of the bug in his hand, Aburame hides immediately. Looked at Hyuga Tokuma and said, with your Hyuga's first Byakugan, you should be able to catch it somewhere. Please Tokuma. Anko was behind him, looking at Hyuga Tokuma who was standing in front of him. Yes. Hyuga Tokuma nodded, and immediately made a seal with one hand. Byakugan. This originates from the strongest pupil technique of the Otsutsuki clan, with strong reconnaissance and support abilities. With a 360-degree perspective, you can see the flow of chakra in the weak. Also has a telephoto eye that can see into the distance, and a hole that sees through objects. Now Hyuga Tokuma can see everything in front of him clearly. At this time, when Hyuga Kai Byakugan looked in the direction of 4 o'clock, that blocked the view in front of you, as well as the thick rock wall of the mountain, you can directly see everything inside. After passing through the mountain, and seeing the densely packed white Zetsu, Hyuga Tokuma couldn't help but his face changed greatly, and he murmured in horror, This is... What's wrong? Anko came over and asked nervously, Tokuma, what did you see? Anyway, now Lanhua, prepare to contact the headquarters. Looking at Hyuga Tokuma's surprised look, Anko said to Konoha-janen next to him with a serious expression. An astonishing amount, there's almost no edge in sight. Hyuga Tokuma, who was silent for half a second, stared at Byakugan and exclaimed, I think these things are Uchiha Madara's trump card that he dares to officially declare war with the 5 major ninja villages. Sure enough. Anko put his hand on his chin and said thoughtfully, now, with the shrewd guy Uchiha Madara, naturally he won't fight an unprepared battle. His face had begun to become more serious, and even gloomy. Anko waved his whole hand. There is definitely no mistake, this is definitely Uchiha Madara and Akatsuki their base, and now we can't delay this information. Captain, they have moved, and the number has reached an unpredictable level. As soon as Anko finished speaking, he was still there. Hyuga Tokuma, who was monitoring the front, immediately said. Hearing this, Anko pondered for half a second, immediately. The order was issued. Now you go to join the main force, and then inform the 5th generation of Hokage adults. And I'll stay here and watch what Uchiha Madara and Akatsuki do next. What did you say? Hyuga's expression changed, and he couldn't help but hesitate. Captain, it's very dangerous for you to stay here alone. Don't be long-winded, get out of here first. Anko didn't hesitate, and seemed to have made up his mind. The current situation at this moment, it has actually begun to make people have to take it seriously. Now that you know the news, it's not too late. And the reason why Anko wants to stay is not only to ensure the accuracy of the information, but also to get more information. Put it bluntly, now Anko feels that this news alone is not enough. She wants to get some, and even the key points of victory or defeat. So, even though it was a bit risky, Anko decided to stay here. Thinking of this, Anko looked still. The hesitant Hyuga Tokuma and the others immediately said, now I know the danger here, but if we don't send this information first, those of us, tens of thousands of compatriots, even the same danger, and even the entire ninja continent will be in crisis. Now is not the time to be selfish, hurry up and send this news to Lord Hokage of the 5th generation. Anko's overall concept is still very strong now, and this skill also makes the rest of the people speechless. Because they really can't say anything. Ninja world has begun to be very serious, and the information of their masters is indeed crucial. Not only did they know the lair of Uchiha Madara and Akatsuki, but they even discovered a large number of mysterious powers. If this news is spread out, the entire Konoha village and even the entire ninja coalition can also make corresponding plans. Thinking of this, several people also immediately nodded. Now this is the time to work hard, and it is indeed not the time to act with anger. They should be quicker, communicate the information they have got first. Captain Anko, then you have to be careful. Hyuga Tokuma and the other two spoke almost in unison. No problem, now you can go. Nodding, Anko showed a confident look on his face. With them, I can't easily leave me. Good. 3 people 3 is no nonsense, immediately. Dodged and left here, ready to quickly send the information back to Gong Yi's hands. Chapter 810. News from the Mountain Cemetery. Kumogakure Village in the Land of Thunder. Rear Allied Forces Headquarters. After leaving Anko's place, Hyuga Tokuma 3 came here quickly. Have really discovered Uchiha Madara and Akatsuki's base. The makeshift Konoha village camp. Nara Shikaku stood up straight from the chair and looked at Hyuga Tokuma in front of him. Obviously, he had no idea now that it would go so smoothly. Lord Nara, it's almost certain now. Hyuga Tokuma nodded and responded directly. This matter is no trivial matter, and I need to discuss it with Hokage. Nara Shikaku murmured to himself with a thoughtful expression on his face. It is impossible for Nara Shikaku to easily believe such news. He could not accurately estimate whether all this was true. Soon. Nara Shikaku also without further ado, immediately came to Gong Yi here. Haha, has it been confirmed by Anko? After hearing the news from Hyuga Tokuma, Gong Yi responded with a smile. As for the Anko's side, Gong Yi naturally knew it for a long time. However, he still showed a look, and now he just knew what Akatsuki looked like. According to the information from the Anko team, they can basically be sure. Nara Shikaku thought, and continued to speak directly, but it's not a trap, it's really hard to say. In Uchiha Madara, there is a lot of tricks now, and it has to be guarded. Nara Shikaku said his thoughts directly. Is also a think tank, a strategist of Hokage. Everything, now Nara Shikaku thinks very clearly. He didn't dare to take it lightly and really guide Gong Yi about anything, but instead gave all his opinions. Whether it's a trap, in fact, it doesn't make much sense. Table, Gong Yi looked at Nara Shikaku meaningfully. I'll start the meeting in a while to get the news out. Now Shikaku, sensei, please don't forget our true purpose. How could I forget such a big thing? Don't worry, Lord Hokage. Nara Shikaku's face was serious, he nodded and responded directly. That's fine. Silent for half a second, Gong Yi also stood up when he said, then it's not too late to send the information out, and then officially dispatch troops. Kumogakure Village, Central Administration Building. At this moment, in a large conference room, Mifune sat here. Hokage, now your troops have information. Agent, Reikage Dodai, asked with some urgency on his face. Of nearly 90,000 people has been staying here in Kumogakure Village, but it does not make him very relieved. For the past few days, Dodai also feels haggard now. Therefore, Dodai is also eager to start a campaign, and first divide the 90,000 people out. Yes, the accurate information is almost obtained now. His head, Gongyi looked at Nara Shikaku at the back. Shikaku, let me explain in detail for everyone first. Good. Nara Shikaku nodded and opened a map of the ninja world directly on the table. Saying that, he took a pen and marked one of the positions with a, currently, according to the information sent back by the intelligence team, the position I marked is the home of Uchiha Madara and Akatsuki. This is a no-man's land called Shanyu Cemetery. Nara Shikaku was very detailed and explained the four shadows in front of him already. Mifune. Mountain Cemetery. Hearing this somewhat unfamiliar location, everyone's faces showed doubts. Yes, this mountain cemetery, if it goes by land, it can directly lead to Tangyan Village and Shuangyan Village. Is it actually in that position? After Nara Shikaku finished speaking, everyone suddenly realized. Since it is in that location now, I suggest that you need to send evacuation advice to the two countries to which Tangyan Village and Shuangyan Village belong. Seeing everyone nodding, Gongyi spoke first. Well, since you are a member of the Ninja World continent, you really need to tell me about it. Mifune nodded when he heard the words, and praised Gongyi in front of you once again. Such a clear concept of the overall situation, Mifune couldn't help feeling that it was the most correct choice to elect Gongyi as the general. Now that the locations of Uchiha Madara and Akatsuki are now known, is there any news about their power deployment? Mizukage Terumi thought for a while, and then asked a very important question. As for the strength of Akatsuki and Uchiha Madara, the specifics cannot really be estimated. Hearing this, Nara Shikaku said with a serious look on his face, but a conservative estimate, they should have about 100,000 or so. No, it should even be said that there is more than I might have guessed. Ignoring the discoloration on the faces of the others, Nara Shikaku continued, the entire mountain below the mountain cemetery has been completely hollowed out by Akatsuki. Who were still discussing just now couldn't help being silent. Each of them looked at each other with a rare gloom on their faces. A full 100,000 enemy troops. This is no joke. They have gathered the 5 major ninja villages and the strength of a country, and currently there are only about 90,000 strength. And his Akatsuki and Uchiha Madara actually has 100,000 ninjas, which makes the other 4 shadows except Gongyi, as well as the current Mifune and others in disbelief. Although Gongyi knew Akatsuki clearly, the so-called 100,000 enemy troops were all white Zetsu. But this is a skill, and the current 4 shadows, Mifune and others are completely unclear about this information. No matter how they think about it at this moment, in fact, their hearts have begun to shake the sky. Originally, they had already gathered nearly 90,000 ninja coalition forces. Everyone's heart is full of confidence, and they feel that this time against Uchiha Madara and Akatsuki, there will be no problem at all. But it will take time, and when they get the news from Nara Shikaku's side, they all find that they are thinking too much. Because of Uchiha Madara's Akatsuki, the power of his master has completely taken each of them by surprise. I even said that I didn't even dare to think that Uchiha Madara quietly gathered such a terrifying power. 4 shadows and Mifune, they will finally begin to realize. The next war seems to be not as simple as they imagined. Chapter 811. Divide the 5 major forces. Silent meeting room. Onoki's voice directly broke the silence. This news is really accurate. Onoki, who has been silent for a long time, now has a rare gloomy expression on his face. This power of Uchiha Madara, also called Onoki, was totally unexpected. Let's not say whether the news is true or false at the moment, but since it is almost certain, it is better to make a response plan first. This is the real key. Gong Yi looked at Onoki and said with a smile. That's true. Now, considering the way the large army moves, it can be foreseen that only a few will go by sea, and the only thing is the fear of being surrounded. Nara Shikaku pointed at the map and frowned. In this way, it's up to whoever strikes first is stronger. Mifune recovered his face and said slowly. Then call the surprise troops first, and we will take the initiative to attack. At this time, the agent Reikage Dodai said directly after taking over the 3 ships. Since you have decided to take the initiative to attack, then everyone immediately order all the Dalian troops to assemble and form a coalition. Seeing that almost everyone had the same opinion, Gong Yi ordered, then start the confirmation of their respective formations. I understand. Good. Adieu. The rest of the 4 shadows and the 3 ships did not have the slightest nonsense or refutation. Since it has been decided that they will take the initiative to attack, they will no longer hesitate. Shikaku. Lord Hokage. Gong Yi looked at Nara Shikaku and instructed the same. Now you also order the support medical troops in the rear, bring the medical ninja equipment, and be ready to send the team out at any time. At the same time, an elite team is being ordered to cooperate with the intelligence force to confirm the intelligence route. Understood. Nara Shikaku nodded and immediately turned to leave. Chanjiro, you too. Contact Ching of the Perception Force and have him immediately. Hurry up. Yes. Who still had Yuhi's face on his face, immediately. Running out, I'll go to inform Ching now. ... Soon, one after another order, has begun to be arranged continuously. The entire conference room, there are only 5 shadows and 3 ships left. Hokage, they finished this in my spare time. At this time, Gaara looked at Gong Yi and said, and took out a forehead guard. There is no sign of ninja village on it, it is a ninja word. Obviously, now this forehead is used to equip the entire ninja coalition. Well, is it already done? Bring the shinobi forehead in Gaara's hand, Gong Yi said. The forehead guard of this ninja union is really quite good, and it is very finely made. After simply looking at it, Gong Yi smiled and praised. It was designed under. Mifune, who was sitting next to Gong Yi, said with a smile, everyone who used to be at odds with each other is now united as one ninja. After speaking, Mifune also stood up. Not only that, the ninja teamed up with the samurai, and the moment has finally come. Yes. After hearing Mifune's sigh, the rest of the shadows couldn't help but nod their heads. Looking at this scene at this moment, Gong Yi couldn't help but sneer inside. All the ninja villages are fighting against foreign enemies, what a beautiful picture. But Gong Yi also knew that such a harmonious picture should be the last time I saw it. Thoughts here, Gong Yi's expression suddenly became serious. He immediately, looking at everyone in front of him, he said, okay, it's not too late, we have no time to wait, since we choose to take the initiative, then we are ready to start. Good. ... At the same time, outside the central administration building in the village of Kumogakure. At this moment, in the square of Nuoda, a lot of people have begun to gather here. Some wear Konoha costumes, some wear Iwagakure costumes, and some are Kurigakure costumes. Of the 5 major ninja villages are all mixed here, constantly carrying supplies and so on. The ninja tools have been confirmed. The food has been confirmed. All kinds of voices are constantly appearing around. At present, there are as many as 90,000 ninja coalition forces, and now they have begun to receive orders. After preparing everything, they also began to gather towards the front. Everyone's face is serious, and they all start to know, and then it indicates that the real battle has begun. What will the future pattern of the ninja continent be? and what will happen next depends on their battles. But it will work hard to look around. Although every ninja is unconsciously thinking about this plan of Uchiha Madara. But in fact, they are also on guard against each other. It is said that they have joined forces now, and they all put down their hatred and come and go to fight against Uchiha Madara and Akatsuki. But the real hatred, how could it be resolved so easily? So the ninjas of the 5 major ninja villages are not very harmonious at all. Not to mention the real alliance to defend the enemy, it is now. They are not here to fight each other. Of the major ninja villages, and the result of the order has been agreed before. If it weren't for this, I'm afraid there will be a very fierce civil war here too. I heard that this time it is divided into 555 units to fight. Following in the crowd, Akamichi Choji looked at Nara Shikamaru next to him and said helplessly, I thought it was divided according to the village. How could it be divided according to village? Hearing Akamichi Choji finish speaking, Nara Shikaku had a strange look on his face. Now this is a war, not a mission. That's right, now is not the time for fellow villagers to gather together. Tamari, who was beside him, came over and said softly to the two of them out of the corner of his eye. And now you can clearly see it all around. Every ninja is also talking about this thing almost one after another. Kumogakure Village, a coalition gathering place. At this moment, Gong Yi is standing at the highest position, quietly watching the ninja coalition force that has gradually converged. Battle Dalian is now specialized into 555th units. Looking ahead, Gong Yi whispered quietly. The first unit is composed of ninjas who are good at mid-range combat, and the main force is ninjas who are good at hidden weapons and weapons. The second unit is a unit that specializes in close combat. They are also the frontline team in the Dalian team. The third unit is a medium and short-range support unit. Only ninjas with both physical strength and speed can serve. The fourth unit, the long-distance unit, is responsible for closely cooperating with the intelligence unit and supporting the front line, while also protecting the rear support units. The fifth unit is a special combat unit that uses special ninjutsu and attack methods. Chapter 812, Kabuto, Impure World Reincarnation Army. Gong Yi said, and now the ninjas below are also following the order and began to separate. Everyone has a separate place. Now, according to the abilities of each ninja, they are also standing in their respective teams. 5 great ninja villages, as well as the troop strength brought by the Iron Country. At this moment, Kung Fu has already begun to be completely disrupted. Because so far, each ninja is good at completely different, cannot really reach a consensus. Well, looking at the picture below, Gong Yi didn't show much expression on his face. Reason to train cannon fodder ninjas is to deal with such a thing. Now they are mixed in with the rest of the ninjas' army, but it doesn't matter to Gong Yi. Because of the 21,000, the name ninja, except for his true elite strength, all of them can be sacrificed. Kakashi and others in order to confuse the public, Gong Yi had his own way to get them out. Soon. Now Gong Yi is standing here, like a tall building like a staircase. In his next quarter position, there has now been a 5-man 5. Gong Yi looked down at them with a faint smile on his face. They are the captains of the next 5 units of the coalition army. Captain of the first unit, Captain Anbu of Kumogakure Village. The captain of the second unit is also the captain of Anbu from Iwagakure Village. He is also his own avatar, Yamazaki Akashi. The captain of the third unit is his most loyal disciple, Kimamaro, his master. Captain of the fourth unit, by Gaara himself is Kazekage. Saying that, Gong Yi fixed his gaze on the last person. The fifth unit is also led by the general of the Iron Country, Sanchuan. He is in charge. As for myself, now I am the general of the entire coalition, and I am also in command of the entire frontline battle, rear support and protection. The position of general is very important. Even he can completely influence the outcome of the next question. That's why, and why Gong Yi has to get this position. With the authority of the General, it is also more convenient to execute your own plan. After a while, Gong Yi was still, thinking time. Below, the ninja coalition force of nearly 90,000 people has been officially allocated and assembled. Gong Yi was standing on the highest position, quietly looking down at this moment. A very vast and magnificent sight has been seen. A full 90,000 ninja powers are now divided into 555 areas. They presented a rectangular lineup, where they watched quietly. I have to say, Gong Yi is also a little sighed now. Looking at the ant-like crowd below, the people who will sacrifice now. This, the mighty coalition now fully represents the general strength of the ninja world. But at the moment, there are no ninjas in the small ninja village. They are weak in command and powerful. Therefore, now they are not even worthy of being cannon fodder. This time, they are all closing down the village and locking the country, quietly waiting for this disaster to end. At the same time, the location on the other side of the ninja continent. Inside a hidden cave in a mountain cemetery. Wearing a yuhi robe, he is standing here quietly, and next to him is Uchiha Obito. The moment has finally come. Smiled, looked at Uchiha Obito and said. Then act. Uchiha Obito, who was silent for half a second, quietly looked at the person in front of him. He didn't say anything, and the whole person seemed very indifferent. As you wish. Uchiha Obito, who seemed to be used to this, shrugged immediately. Both hands hand seal. Psychic impure world reincarnation. Rumbling, the whole cave starts to shake. In the open space in front of Uchiha Obito, cracks began to appear, and several coffins slowly rose out of the ground. They are not just one or two, but a row after row of formations. It didn't stop until the open space in front was filled. Boom, boom, there was a loud muffled sound, and the coffin lids were constantly being opened. That were opened first, he smiled and said, it's a former Akatsuki member. Looking around, the people in the coffin are Deidara, Sasori of the Red Sand, Uchiha Itachi and others. At the same time. Saying that, he looked at the row of coffins on the other side and said, in addition to the strength of the predecessor Jinchuiki column. Ni Yugito, three-tailed Yagura, four-tailed Old Purple, five-tailed. Bang, bang, bang. As soon as the voice fell, the coffin lids on the side also fell one after another. And the predecessor five shadows, the second generation Tsuchikage, the third generation Reikage, the fourth generation Kazekage. It seems that he is appreciating art, or appreciating his own work, and the whole person is very excited. Well, it's not just these. It seems to be talking to himself, his eyes look behind. There are also Bakuden, explosion-style hunting, Ghosts Will Not Cut, Hyoten, ice-style white, Hanzo of the Salamander, Sunagaku Chio. It looks like you really have collected a lot. Uchiha Obito, who had been silent at the moment, even though it was him, there was an unbelievable look on his face behind the mask. Looking at the corpses in the open space in front of him, Uchiha Obito really didn't expect it. He didn't have much hope for here. But now it seems that Uchiha Obito found that he was really wrong. No wonder the 5 generations of Hokage once said that this place can weaken the power of the 5 great ninja villages. Uchiha Obito quietly watched the coffin lids open one by one, and he murmured to himself. Through this matter at this moment, Uchiha Obito couldn't help but be more afraid of Gong Yi. As a member of his own faction, the 5th Hokage actually knew him better than he did. Did he know before that he had so many impure world reincarnation corpses? A series of questions made Uchiha Obito a little worried about what happened next. Obito, who was extremely confident and felt that he had mastered the entire ninja continent. Now that he has been in contact with Gong Yi twice, he can't help but doubt his life. Generation Hokage, he still has the ability to predict the future. To read the ununderlined version of the novel, Baidu search 99 Playmate find 99 Novel Network and LT. Chapter 813. An era, A second more. It's not just these. Standing on the side of Uchiha Obito, a smile appeared on his face. Bang, 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 the voice just fell, and the coffin lid was opened again. It is the 7 people of the previous generation of ninja swords from the village of Kurigakure. Tsukazan Fubuki, Kuriarare Kushimaru, Akebi no Jinin, Munashi Jinpachi, Ringo Amayuri, Ghost Lantern Full Moon. All here, very complete. It seems that you will become the main force in this war. A sneer on the face under the mask, Uchiha Obito looked at him and said involuntarily. Now Uchiha Obito originally wanted to use the number of 100,000 to crush the ninja coalition. But Uchiha Obito also knows clearly that the number of 100,000 must be very large. Unfortunately, their strength is indeed very weak, and they can only be used as cannon fodder at all. Under normal circumstances, Uchiha Obito has thought of many ways. Now it will take a while, when I see the corpse that came out of impure world reincarnation. Uchiha Obito completely gave up on the ideas that he had planned before. Looking forward, the ninjas who walked out of the coffins were all famous in the ninja world. No one is weak, all have their own legends. Their power, even Uchiha Obito has to admit, is indeed very tyrannical. Wrong. Hearing this, shaking his head, he directly vetoed, "This time the main force is not me." The thumping sound came again. The lids on the coffins closest to Uchiha Obito were also opened. At this time, Uchiha Obito, who had not spoken yet, his pupils contracted behind the mask. The 4 people walking out in front of him were all too familiar to him. The one next to him also pushed the round-framed eyes on his face, revealing a hint of playfulness on his face hidden under the wide brim of his hat. Appeared in front of me was the first Hokage Senju Hashirama, who was called the god of the ninja world at the beginning. Then came the second Hokage Senju Tobarama, the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, and the fourth Hokage Namikaze Minato. The 4 men burst out with vigorous chakra power. Each of them represents an era and a will. Although the quality of Matsuri products is not particularly perfect, but the strength of their whole body can still make people feel very powerful. Okay, now it seems that the victory of this battle should belong to us. Uchiha Obito immediately, suppressing the horror on his face, he continued to sneer and said, "With these master ninjas and 100,000 white Zetsu, even if the 5 major ninja villages join forces, it is useless. Now they really have no way to destroy the impure world reincarnation army." There is no humility in the slightest, and the individual is very confident. Indeed, I think the same way now. Uchiha Obito nodded, rarely ignoring it. This time, the impure world reincarnation army was unexpectedly large enough to call Uchiha Obito. Because he had no idea that this guy could secretly collect so many corpses. Now these guys are out of impure world reincarnation, it's no joke. Then when are you going to leave? Obito, he asked directly. You can go now. Uchiha Obito said. He turned around and walked towards the exit ahead. When Uchiha Obito's side has already started to leave Kumogakure village. Almost Gundam. 90,000 ninjas, all gathered. But below, although most of the people have endured the hatred of each other, still, there is still a lot of friction, and a few people still look at each other unpleasantly. There are some ninjas who are even going to fight now. Konoha and Sunagakure, Iwagakure and Kurigakure village, etc. Ninja. Now just a little fire is enough to set them on fire immediately. Although they came here before, the shadows of each other have already spoken and warned. Pity that some things in these ninjas cannot be suppressed stably. Now, after the gathering, there will naturally be a few of the 90,000 ninjas who have already started to take action. But fortunately, this is a skill, and most ninjas can still endure it now. The real hands-on are only some very few ninjas. Alright everyone. And this time, when the following has begun to intensify. Voice came, and it spread clearly into everyone's ears. Now this will work hard, and you can see it clearly. On the highest platform above, Gong Yi is stepping out. He was wearing the Hokage royal god's robe at the moment, and his whole face had a kind of majesty. The robe behind him was rattled by the wind. Now when Gong Yi finished saying this, the confused ninjas immediately below. Quiet. Front of me, the 5th Hokage of Konoha village, that is Gong Yi. Every ninja knows all of them. No matter who they are now very familiar with Gong Yi, who is famous in the ninja world. This is already comparable to a new generation of gods of the ninja world, and can even suppress the existence of tailed beasts with one hand. Now Gong Yi is scary enough to be respected even just standing here. Everyone's heart is different, just look at Gong Yi quietly like this. Everyone's mood is actually very complicated. As the current coalition, they are revered as Gong Yi. But as Somura ninjas, they are also very afraid of Gong Yi. No matter what it is now, Gong Yi's words made them all start to wake up. Obviously a group of people clearly know that now is not the time to continue fighting each other here. Now you are from the major ninja villages, I think naturally there will be some hatred for each other. Bowing his head, now Gong Yi has also started the mobilization in front of the station. This superficial work, Gong Yi naturally needs to do. At the same time, Gong Yi really needs the current 90,000 ninja coalition forces to consume some of Uchiha Obito's 100,000 gems. Therefore, now that it will be time, Gong Yi naturally decides to speak first, to dispel the mutual ill will of these ninjas. With so many ninja powers at the moment, he is completely useless. With the help of their side, it is naturally the best to make yourself less troublesome first. Thinking of this, Gong Yi looked at the Wukan ninja below and said again. Fei Lu reminds you, an LT, please keep the collection this paragraph, otherwise block the collection of IP. Chapter 814, Hatred, the enemy, first. Now you are from the major ninja villages, I think naturally there will be some hatred for each other. Standing at the highest position, Gong Yi was wearing the Hokage imperial robe. He quietly stared at the 90,000 ninja coalition army below and shouted, but at this time and place, there are no enemies. Because everyone here is now carrying the pain left by Akatsuki. With a serious face, Gong Yi immediately. A wave of his hand, Sunagaker, Iwagakure, Kurigakure, Kumogakure, and even Konoha have all experienced the unbridled invasion of Akatsuki. After hearing this, everyone below was still looking at each other's disliked ninjas, and their expressions all changed. Yes, the enemy they really need to face now is not each other, but Akatsuki now. Since we have all experienced pain, we choose to join forces. Emotions to the extreme, a smile gradually appeared on Gong Yi's face. That's it, there is no power of a certain village here, and it is all attributed to ninjas at this moment. Now that the situation is so severe, it is no longer a contest between villages and villages. Gong Yi opened his hands and saw that the expressions of all the ninjas below had changed. He continued to speak. Akatsuki's plan has seriously threatened the peace of the entire ninja continent. If the column strength is obtained, then the whole world will be completely destroyed. Therefore, once Akatsuki succeeds now, our relatives, our friends, our family, and even the entire shinobi village will completely cease to exist. When Gong Yi said this, there was no sound from the bottom, and all his expressions began to change. He looked up at Gong Yi seriously. At this moment, you are not fighting for the shadow, nor for the ninja village, but for your relatives, friends, and even the people you love the most. Now, if you want to understand, go now and smash Akatsuki's machinations with me. Having said that, Gong Yi also stepped forward. The whole person's sage mode was activated immediately, and he just walked in the air like this, coming directly to the bottom of the 90,000 ninjas. A pair of pitch-black eyes, extremely deep at the moment, Gong Yi was quietly looking ahead. Battle! 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 As soon as Gong Yi finished speaking, everyone was already brainwashed and shouted. In the Kumogakure village, the same word began to echo over and over again. of the entire 90,000 ninja coalition has already begun to shake the surroundings, soaring into the sky. The other 4 shadows in the back, now looking at the picture in front of them, can't help showing a kind of excitement on their faces. For them, now is indeed the time to protect their homeland. Very well, as the general of the coalition forces, I officially issue an order to attack at this moment. Seeing that it was almost over, Gong Yi stopped talking nonsense, but immediately he shouted, "The 5 major units that have been sorted before, all set off now." Swish! The dense ninja power below, they all began to dispatch. The 555 lineups that had been allocated before, all began to perform their duties. It was a bit turbulent before. Has not appeared. As Gong Yi said, the enemy they need to face now is not each other's big village. It's Akatsuki, Uchiha Madara's plan is not a petty mess, it can be solved with pure resources. Now every ninja understands that if Akatsuki and Uchiha Madara are not defeated, then the entire ninja continent will be completely destroyed once. It finally begins. Now that the entire ninja coalition has become impulsive, a stern smile appeared on Gong Yi's face. Look around. The first to bear the brunt now is the first unit. They are the mid-range coalition. Among the ninjas mixed in, Gong Yi is also well known. Such as Tenten, Akamichi Choza, Samui, Azai, Gengzi Iron, Kamizuki Izumo, etc. All here again. Immediately afterward was the melee combined army detachment, followed by the second troop. Among them, Hyuga Hinata, and his own disciple Hyuga Neji were among them. This time, the reason why Neji was not given an important position by Gong Yi, his task is also very serious. Then it's the ninja army that mixes in at the grassroots level, inquires about information at any time, and is responsible for Gong Yi's plan in the future. It was followed by the combat close and medium range combined army 3rd unit, and the long range combat unit 4th, with the combat special unit 5th at the end. That was separated out was all in the sky. On the flying psychic beasts drawn by special secret techniques, and they are galloping. The last one is the medical logistics force and the perception force. The entire ninja coalition of 90,000, now arranged in an orderly manner, is encircling the positions of Uchiha Madara and Akatsuki respectively. Next, we can make plans. Hanging high in the sky, while all the ninjas are still there, think Gong Yi is the moment to say goodbye to them. But they have no way of knowing that what everyone is going to is not a battlefield, but an endless abyss hell. Now the entire 4 shadows and 3 ships may never have thought that it was not Uchiha Madara who controlled the whole incident. The master behind the entire ninja continent is actually Gong Yi. Now there is a steady stream of ninja coalition forces that have not yet left. They all contain self-confidence and endless fighting spirit. However, Gong Yi is only showing a faint sneer now. Although all the people below were killed, he could not have the slightest mercy. Ninja continent is intrigued, and this kind of thing happens from time to time. This is the fate of being a ninja. Don't look at their high fighting spirit now, they don't have any hatred for each other. But when the words I said before gradually faded out in their minds, then, it is naturally impossible for them to remain as they are now. Since there is real hatred, how is it possible that it will really be resolved by Gong San's words? That is unrealistic, Gong Yi now knows that. Of course, now that they will end up next, Gong Yi is also very clear now. Even if there is no calculation on their own side, they will also be on the verge of extinction in the hands of Uchiha Obito. In fact, the entire 4th Ninja World War, if not for Naruto and Sasuke, then the entire ninja continent will indeed cease to exist. But now with Gong Yi, this ninja continent will not be destroyed. On the contrary, for most people, they will also take a life because of it. Because Gong Yi is naturally impossible to kill them all. After all, in the future, the ninja world will be unified, and what he doesn't want to keep is just an empty shell. I am really sorry. I was in a hurry yesterday and only updated 2 chapters. Try to make it up today, 8 more. Baidu search 99 playmates to find 99 novel network. Chapter 815. Master overall situation. Not long. Of 5 villages and 1 country has already begun to set off. In the jungle of the mountain cemetery. The dense jungle here, at this moment a ninja named by Impure World Reincarnation, they gradually regained consciousness. Although their bodies are under control, they can still speak and have independent thoughts. No more beheading, mister. A pair of absent-minded eyes, when the eyeballs gradually appeared, Bai looked to the side and then did not cut. Although the 2 were not killed by Naruto and Sasuke before, they were directly eliminated by Sasuke in the later period. And it is because of the beheading sword. Therefore, at this moment, the 2 of them were directly channeled out as dead people. It doesn't look like that world here. Looking at Bai who was beside him, he couldn't help but murmur. Obviously the consciousness is clear, but the body does not obey. Bai looked down at her body, she was constantly dodging and walking towards the front. This is forbidden technique, Impure World Reincarnation. Formerly a member of the demolition team of Iwagakure village in the land of the land, Bakuden, explosion style, who owns Kekkei Genkei Bakuden, explosion style. He also followed behind the 2 of them, and at this moment he couldn't help but say, we may have been recalled to this world by someone. I think since it's such a large-scale psychic, it's probably already at war. Even the dead must be used. No longer looking at the front quietly, the whole person's face doesn't seem to be very good, this feeling is really unpleasant. ... Just as the Impure World Reincarnation Army is already heading towards the Ninja World Alliance. Hideaway at the back. At this moment, Yamato and Anko have all been captured. In front of Noda's cave, Uchiha Obito, they are standing here. The 2 did not leave, as if they were waiting for someone. Have you got your way? Uchiha Obito looked forward coldly and said directly. Yes, there are now a total of 90,000 coalition troops, all of which have already set off. Front of him, a faint voice responded to him. I saw Gong Yi, who had already stepped forward at this moment. He was wearing a black combat uniform with a smile on his face. Then talk about it. Uchiha Obito saw Gong Yi come here, he was not surprised at all. Long time no see, Gong Yi. Here, seeing Gong Yi's appearance, he took off his wide hat and said with a smile. 4. Gong Yi in front of me, the current medicine is in awe. After clearly seeing Gong Yi's true terrifying power, he already has his own clear position. Although he calculated Uchiha Obito, calculated the entire ninja continent. However, he didn't dare to touch Gong Yi anymore. Well, now you also need to act quickly. Gong Yi didn't say much, but said straight to the point. Now the 90,000 ninja coalition has begun to be divided into 555 units, a small part of which will stay at the headquarters of Kumogakure village, and the rest of the large force will be with the tendency of siege, prepare to attack here preemptively. As for the other small force, they will be in the air and attack directly. Also, now the coastal position in the area of Kumogakure village has begun to establish a defense line. He didn't keep it, and told them all about it, Gong Yi said slowly, but the defense force there is very weak, they don't think you will log in there, so the follow-up command is here, you can use the rear Kumogakure village. A sneak attack from a coastal location. As for the place in front of the mountain cemetery, I think you shouldn't need me to arrange it now. Naturally, I have already prepared, and now I know the route of these ninja coalition forces, it is enough. Uchiha Obito's face became cold behind the mask, and he said in a deep voice. I am still very unhappy with Gong Yi and Uchiha Obito. If it weren't for the overall situation, he would have turned against Gong Yi long ago. When you are ready, don't forget the promise between us. Gong Yi didn't have the slightest mood swing, although Uchiha Obito's attitude was a little off. He still smiled coldly, and immediately the whole person turned into wood. It turned out to be just a Mokuden, wood-style clone. Looking at Gong Yi just now, he has completely lost the breath of life, just turned into a piece of wood in the shape of a human. Shrugging his shoulders, he said with a smile. Now that we have the information, let's start. Without answering, Uchiha Obito finished speaking, his whole person immediately flashed away. Quote. Shaking his head, his round eyes flashed coldly, and he didn't speak again. Seeing Uchiha Obito walking away, he turned around and went back to the cave. In front of him at the moment, Sasori of the Red Sand, Deidara and other 4 people in total are standing for. You can collectively call the surprise attack team now. Looking at the 4 people in front of him, he smiled, go straight to the empty road, and then go and kill the surprise assault team of the opposite coalition. Sasori of the Red Sand, Deidara is in charge of trap blasting and raiding. Sasori of the Red Sand and Deidara with their eyes closed, they said as if talking to themselves. Konoha's letter, and Nakayoshi from Kurigakure village, are responsible for perception and assistance. Well, what's going on? At this time, when all 4 of them opened their eyes, the first person to come back to his senses was Nakayoshi from Kurigakure village. When he saw what was in front of him, his whole face became angry. You are Akatsuki Hyu trying to use me to fight. Kurigakure Nakayoshi, biting Kiba and moving his strong body, moved towards the attack ahead. Hee, you better be quiet. Seeing him rushing frantically, he didn't have the slightest fear at all, instead he smiled faintly and made a mark with one hand. Fung. As soon as the words fell, Kurigakure Nakaji, who was still emotional just now, he immediately. The whole person froze in place. Obviously, just now completely wiped out his entire consciousness immediately. To be used by this weak bean sprout. Looking ahead, Deidara couldn't help complaining. Hee, it looks like Akatsuki has fallen. Sasori of the Red Sand looked around and said with the same sneer. Impure World Reincarnation has so many numbers that it's really hard to control. Shaking his head, ignoring the 4 people in front of him, he secretly said. However, he pushed the round-framed eyes on his face and said with a sneer, but fortunately, in the end, the overall situation of everything will still be under my control. Chapter 816. The Land of Thunder, Kumogakure Village. Central Administration Building. Now a spacious conference room has been completely vacated. This place has directly become the general command post, coming and going to communicate with the ninja coalition forces ahead. Now sitting in the large chair in front of him, Gong Yi waited for news from the front line with no expression on his face. On his side, there are the other 3 shadows that have not set off. Tsuchikage Onoki, Mizukage Terumi Mei, and Agent Reikage Dodai. Now they are all looking at a special contact device in front of them. It was the intelligence troops on their side who were mainly responsible for liaising with the front and issuing orders. To put it simply, the unit responsible for receiving and disseminating information from various places. And now the main person in charge here is Yamanaka Inoichi from Konoha village, and Han, a perception ninja from Iwagakure village. Of the remaining subordinates are all in the main auxiliary role. This intelligence unit in the entire rear area is already completely from Gong Yi. Whether it's Yamanaka Inoichi, or the perceptive ninja Cold from the village of Iwagakure. All of them have long since surrendered to themselves. And that Han from Iwagakure village is the most capable officer of his own divine avatar. Now quietly, the avatar of the consciousness is naturally also constantly under the power of Master Iwagakure village in the dark. After so many years of accumulation, it is now obvious that the power of the avatar of the consciousness is also very huge. Mizukage, it's almost time now. Now that the troops are leaving, you can also act. At this time, I saw that the coalition forces on the periphery have completely gone away and have begun to operate officially. Gong Yi looked at Terumi Mei next to him and said directly. Now, although the entire coalition has been divided into 5 companies collectively called. But some other teams, such as medical perception intelligence and so on. Small teams, Gong Yi did not count. Now this meeting, according to the previous plan, they also have a team called the Daimyo Guard. This team is naturally no trivial matter, but a special unit established to protect the daimyo. At present, the remaining 4 shadows, for the sake of safety, they also decided to send a shadow to guard the team in person. Although Gong Yi doesn't care, they still attach great importance to the safety of the daimyo of their ninja villages is inextricably linked with the countries they belong to. Resources, the division of money, all kinds of things, etc. A series of things. A big country needs to rely on the ninja village to protect it, and the ninja village also needs a big country to obtain nutrients. Now, for decades, the two have been inseparable for a long time. Especially now, at such a tense moment, they need to protect the safety of the daimyo even more. But the other 4 shadows think so, and one is the exact opposite of them. Daimyo is also blocking Gong Yi Master from unifying the ninja world continent stone. On their side, Gong Yi was too early. For these old guys, none of them can stay. As for the issue of the country, Gong Yi can naturally suppress it directly. Civet Cat for the prince is actually the same routine. Since he can use Gara Master Sunagakure village, use the God Consciousness Clone Master Iwagakure village. Then the other 5 major countries can still support the puppets themselves, and then control them behind the scenes. Gong Yi doesn't pay attention to these things at the moment, anyway. It's something else. Now his main goal is still the front line. At this time, Gong Yi naturally didn't show his claws Kiba directly. To now, the 90,000 ninja coalition forces will naturally spend a while with Uchiha Obito's 100,000. Otherwise, even if it is oneself, it is a little troublesome now. As for the troops on Impure World Reincarnation, the current Gong Yi is not worried at all. Although they are the 4th ninja war, the most powerful and hinder the coalition forces. For Gong Yi, their harm is almost zero. Because in the long-term research of Impure World Reincarnation, Gong Yi naturally found a way. A bit like reverse psychic, you can dismantle these Impure World Reincarnation's corpses again. That is to say, Gong Yi can now be perfect, and easily destroy the proud Impure World Reincarnation. Just like at the beginning, he gave the 3 generations of Reikage to Impure World Reincarnation, and he could take it back. Well, simply put all of these aside, and now there are only 100,000 masterpieces left in front of you. Okay, I'll do it right now. Go. At the same time. In the moment of Gong Yi's still here, thought, now Terumi Mei also nodded. This time, she left Kumogakure village immediately with Chojuro and the newly formed Hiraishin Genma team. The members of the Hiraishin Genma team were Shiranui Genma, who are the same, Tatami Iwasi and others. A whole team of ninjas are also very comprehensive in their abilities and cooperate very well. Especially under the leadership of Mizukage Terumi Mei, each film is actually quite reassuring. The daimyo this time, although they may be dangerous, they are not the main ones. The real danger is the ninja. So now Terumi Mei has such an elite team, then there will be no problem with these daimyo. Naturally, they don't know Akatsuki. Gong Yi has long been eyeing those. The names of the 5 great powers. Now a group of people, more focus is still on, all on the front line. The entire ninja coalition has begun to be completely separated at this moment, and started to complete according to their respective tasks. For the front line, Gong Yi is still very indifferent now. At the current position of the General, sitting here as myself. On the front line, Gara is the leader of the ninja coalition. Then the core mission of the staff here is also Nara Shikaku. Simply looking at it, the main responsible positions of the entire ninja coalition are all their own people. Now Gong Yi just needs to be quiet and wait to consume the last wave of Uchiha Obito's 100,000 gems. Then you can officially start the plan, start it completely, and start to close the net completely. Swish, swish, swish. At this time, In front of Kumogakure village, the land of thunder has passed. Now the densely packed ninjas are all starting to dodge away. This time they were fighting in a branch, and they all fought with the tendency of encirclement. Therefore, just after leaving the country of thunder, the entire 555th companies have begun to separate. Just ahead, Gaara, who was in charge of all the coalition front lines this time, showed a strange look on his face at this time. Followed by Kimimaro, as well as Hyuga Neji and others. Chapter 817, Shin and Sai. Hula Hula Mountain Cemetery, the surprise team led by Kankuro has arrived here. When they were in the air and all fell down. Sai is also immediately out the scroll and collect all the flying beasts that you have created using the secret technique. Assembly. Kankuro came to the center, right now. Looking at the group of people in front of him, he said, "We are now in the enemy's territory, and now we are going to build a small camp here as a short-term base. Then we immediately spread out, prepare for surprise attacks on all sides, and set up jet lag traps where the enemy might pass along the way. A radius of 10 meters, with exits at 2 o'clock and 6 o'clock. At this moment, Kankuro arranged everything in an orderly manner. Now that the war has started, he does not dare to take it lightly. After all, the village behind and even his family are still waiting for him to protect. Time is fast. When Kankuro has started to decorate here, the 90,000 coalition troops that have left the Land of Thunder have officially separated from each other at this moment. Of the first unit was directly led by Captain Anbu of Kumogakure village and marched in the forward direction. The captain of the second unit, cloned by Gong Yi's consciousness, moved towards the previously set position. At that location, there is already a demonic illusion trap that Gong Yi asked Uchiha Sasuke to set up. Although Gong Yi wants to take advantage of the current ninja coalition, he will consume Uchiha Obito's 100,000 skills first. However, it is also necessary to weaken the power of some other shinobi villages by a small amount. Otherwise, once the situation is too different, maybe the ninja coalition will really have the upper hand. As for the current third unit, Kimimaro is the current unit commander. He is leading the team, moving towards the most accurate position ahead, where it is the largest number of 100,000. Can play a very stable role in the consumption of both. Anyway, these ninjas are not of much use to Gong Yi, who is the current Konoha village ninja. They have already started to mix in these teams. Well, that's just cannon fodder. Soon, Gaara, the captain of the fourth unit here, is also going according to Gong Yi's plan. As for the 3 ships of the 5th unit here, he is still there, completely kept in the dark, moving towards another position, preparing to surround the Akatsuki unit of Uchiha Madara. The war has begun. At this time, Yamanaka Inoichi, who is now in the back, has already received the first message from the front. On his head at the moment, he is carrying a ninja tool that can communicate with the outside world and can increase his perception. This is a kung fu, and now Yamanaka Inoichi naturally knows Gong Yi's plan at this time. He naturally won't hide the situation of the battle. After all, this is the beginning of the war. It's that team. Hearing Yamanaka Inoichi finish speaking, he asked directly. It's the surprise team that arrived at the mountain cemetery first. Nara Shikaku came over with a document in his hand immediately. He said to the people in front of him, "Damn, I didn't expect their vigilance to be so high, they just got there and were discovered." Agent Reikage Dodai, his face sank, and he felt a little uncomfortable. This has only just begun, and such a situation has actually occurred. It is completely a kind of rhythm that is unfavorable to graduate. And Tsuchikajinoki, as well as the rest of the people present, looked a little bad. According to their thinking, they naturally want to preempt them and use their current advantages to directly attack them to win. But I didn't expect that now the surprise attack troops, they have just arrived, and they have already been discovered. That undoubtedly means that their so-called preemptive tactics are completely ineffective. Next, Now that they have discovered the surprise attack team, the subsequent large troops have all been exposed. It looks like Uchiha Madara now, their vigilance is indeed a bit very high. Although Gong Yi knew it well, he still shook his head and said involuntarily. Of the entire ninja alliance was very clearly given to Uchiha Obito and now they can naturally set traps along the way and counterattack the entire ninja coalition. As for the surprise attack team led by Kankuro, Gong Yi naturally knew that they should have encountered Sasori of the Red Sand, Deidara and others. As the first team to start the battle, it is the same as the original book that Gong Yi knows, there is not much difference. Boom! Somewhere below the mountain cemetery. Now Kankuro is taking on Sasori of the Red Sand. The rest of the people are entangled with Deidara and Shin and others. By this time, when they sent the information back to the rear, they had already begun to fight non-stop. The rumbling sound was frequent, and the clay bombs in Deidara's hands kept dropping downwards. On the Sasori of the Red Sand side, although there are no puppets, it is also extremely difficult to deal with. Ninja Super Beast fake painting. After skipping countless memories and the touching ties. Now Sakai immediately. Pull out the scroll and wave the brush in your hand. A white bird made of thick ink came out of it and carried Sakai into the sky. And then, it's not over yet. Sakai's chakra continued to vent, and the brush in his hand waved it again. Super God fake painting. 2 gods and Buddhas at once appeared. They were no longer in the form of animals before, but towering and huge human figures. With a flanking force, he swung towards Deidara in the air ahead. The appearance of the 2 gods and Buddhas is not angry and arrogant, which makes people look like they can't be desecrated. The next second, they punched out, and they were about to smash the clay birds under Deidara's feet. And below, Kankuro is also immediately waving his hands. 10 blue chakra lines swayed and swayed. Black secret technique. 2 huge Sanchofish-style puppets immediately appeared in the white fog ahead. Then Sasori of the Red Sand and Deidara were trapped in it. Not long. Just as Kankuro and Sai are constantly using their emotions to play cards. Sasori of the Red Sand ahead, and Sasui's brother Letter, also using the emotions that cannot. The other Deidara was also sealed at the moment. The entire fierce battle finally fell into dust. The surprise attack team and others present did not have the joy of victory. Instead, now, their faces are very gloomy. This is just the beginning, and it is already so difficult. Then the situation after that, everyone can't imagine. Chapter 818. The Fourth Ninja War has officially started now. The entire 90,000-strong coalition began to be divided into 5 companies and several small units. The entire 5 villages coalition army now, after getting the information from Anko's side, launched an attack in the form of a siege at the mountain cemetery by means of a surprise attack. This time the battle is not the village-to-village entanglement, and the constant comings and goings. The Fourth Ninja War, they all naturally realize the seriousness of the matter. As long as the 2 sides come into contact, it will be a decisive battle out of control. Now the opposite side will not delay time with them, and they will naturally not delay anything. 90,000 ninja powers face as many as 100,000 unknown powers. Of each of them now are actually very serious, and all of them are very careful. Although I don't know what the other party's situation is, almost no one dares to be careless. Rear. With Kankuro's raid squad, the 2 sides are now in contact. Village of Kumogakure, the land of thunder, the current headquarters is also very busy. Yamanaka Inoichi is constantly receiving the news ahead, and Narashikaku is also constantly summarizing here. Everyone sitting here, except Gong Yi, doesn't have much joy on their faces. Report. Now the Gaara troop has discovered the impure world reincarnation ninja. Report. Now Kimamaro's army has encountered a sneak attack from a mysterious enemy. Report. The 3 ships are now also ambushed by a new batch of impure world reincarnation ninjas. Quote. A piece of information from the front line made everyone's heart sink to the bottom. They didn't expect that it would be like this now that they were taking the initiative to attack. After Konkuro's surprise team report, did they know that he actually started to use the impure world reincarnation forbidden technique on the opposite side. And the masters who died in the ninja land were all channeled by him. Originally, now they thought that Konkuro's side should just be an accident. This will be Kung Fu Gaara's main force. When they were attacked by the ninjas of impure world reincarnation, they no longer think so. And after the news, when the 3 ships were also ambushed by the impure world reincarnation army, they were even more incredulous. Bang! Tsuchikajinoki immediately slapped the table and frowned. He couldn't take it anymore. He immediately. Looking at Nara Shikaku and Yamanaka, he shouted, "How is this possible? Now we are the one who took the initiative to attack, but how can they seem to know our location? This impure world reincarnation's ninjas are already, but now they are hiding and attacking the alliance team. It was definitely premeditated. Agent Tsuchikage Dodai, now that he is here, there is not a very good look on his face. This is just the beginning, they seem to have become passive." Such a feeling caused everyone in the command room to have a haze on their hearts. Sneak attack, ambush, such things should be done by them. But on the other hand, now it's all backfired. On the entire front line did not turn out as they planned. Could it be that there has been an inner ghost in the ninja coalition now? Tsuchikajinoki's face was gloomy, and the whole person seemed a little suspicious. This kind of thing is related to the safety of the ninja world continent. I think for the entire coalition, no one will be so stupid. Gong Yi shook his head. He looked at Onoki and said, "I suspect that it is Akatsuki's absolute right now. He should have sneaked in when we mobilized the allocation before." Absolutely. Hearing Gong Yi say this, Onoki, Dodai, and the rest of the members all looked at him. Absolutely. I thought that you already knew about it in the intelligence. Seeing the confusion on their faces, Gong Yi's face sternly said, "Since we have started to join forces at this moment, then I will no longer have reservations about his detailed information. Absolutely, now about his true identity, my Anbu has not actually investigated it. His identity is actually very mysterious." Gong Yi knocked on the table, and no matter what, he began to slowly guide the crowd and said, "But his ability, Anbu in my Konoha village has been fully investigated. His combat power is not high, but the concealment technique is terrible. He can completely hide his body in the trees, and he can also hide it unobstructed underground. At the same time, his breath is easy to be ignored. This master of Akatsuki has used this secret technique. I don't know about Akatsuki, and has stole information from Konoha village several times." When Onoki heard Gong Yi say this, his face turned darker. No wonder Akatsuki was able to clearly understand the movements of the master's tailed beast at the beginning, and at the same time he could also understand the secret of the master's Jinchuriki column power. This must be the damned one. If it is absolutely, then we are really negligent. Agent Reikage Dodai knocked heavily on the table, then looked towards Nara Shikaku. "Since the coalition intelligence may have been leaked, then we must change our plan. This time, it has already come to this point." Even if they were skeptical of what Gong Yi said, they had to believe it. Because under such circumstances, the entire coalition has already begun to fight with. So even if there are traitors, and they might be monitored by Akatsuki's members, it doesn't really make any sense. This has come to an end, and now they can only change their plans quickly and regain the advantage of the front line. Well, since this is the case, then immediately change your plans. Gong Yi nodded, without the slightest refusal, but said more positively than anyone else, "The current situation is now urgent." This time, in fact, Gong Yi here has already thought of this situation. Akatsuki is now in ambush. Anyone with a brain will know that the root information of the Ninja Alliance has been leaked. Therefore, these things were actually prepared by him long ago. Even Nara Shikaku, Yamanaka Inoichi, etc. actually have no turbulence in their hearts. Although Gongyi didn't say it, they also knew that all this was inseparable from Gongyi. But after biting Kiba, they could only accompany Gongyi all the way down the dark. Now if things come to light, it will be a very big disaster for Konoha Village. Chapter 819. Great Chaos Coalition. But now that you want to change your plan, what good arrangements do you have? Hearing Onoki and the others speak, Gongyi now looked at them and asked directly. With this question, the entire command room, which had just been noisy, was also immediately. All fell silent. It's easy to say now, but it's not that simple to change the plan directly. This is not a team battle, nor is it a group of several people. Now there are 90,000 ninjas on the front line, and they need to wait for a few people to make unified arrangements. 555th Wings, several special excitement squads, and logistical units in the rear. Once the plan really needs to be changed, it requires a lot of arrangements and changes. From the rear to the transfer, to the strain to the front, and finally the transfer back and so on. Now that the front is in chaos, if the plan of yourself and others is not implemented well, consequences would be very serious. As the shadow of the major villages, now such a simple thing is naturally able to understand all. It is precisely because of this that after Gongyi finished speaking, no one here immediately answered or said anything more. So far, if you want to change the plan now, it is difficult to be able to work. Moment of silence. In the quiet command post, Agent Reikage Dodai spoke first. This will work hard, and now it is clear that the current situation can be seen clearly. Now that he is here, the face of the Agent Reikage Dodai is even more gloomy. At present, there is no good plan at all. If they randomly command, it will only really make things more passive. Meanwhile, the Impure World Reincarnation Army has suddenly appeared because of Akatsuki's problems ahead. The backup plan left by each of them before is difficult to use effectively at this moment. Because no one thought that Akatsuki would know their route very clearly. So now that this plan is known, the rest of the backup plans are not very safe at all. No, it should be said that it is even more dangerous. Now is not the time to be in a mess and be too blind. Onoki's expression was also bad, and he made a sound immediately. Said, we can't be as chaotic as the front line. At present, this will be kung fu, and now Onoki has not thought of a good way at all. Then since there is no good plan in mind at present, it is naturally impossible to give orders at will. Onoki knew that, even if he was trying to get rid of Akatsuki. However, under the current situation, it is not the time to act with anger. Now Akatsuki is really too sudden. Dodai and Da, who were a little helpless, Gongyi was also showing his thoughts. Although he can clearly see the master, Yiden from the front line, now he doesn't say it, dragging it here. Anyway, now this is going to work. In Gongyi's eyes, it's just a simple consumption of two parties. The more you consume, the better for yourself now. Of opening the fourth ninja war this time is to consume the ninja power of the other four ninja villages. Everyone, now I think that although we are in a passive state, we have the power to fight back. At this time, Nara Shikaku seemed to understand Gongyi's meaning, and said directly, since this situation has already occurred, I think it is better to just leave it like this, directly use argue advantages, come and go against it. If the plan is really changed, it may not be a good thing for ahead. As a staff officer, Nara Shikaku also started to guide at this moment, so I think that since the two sides have already fought, we might as well wait and see and wait for the follow-up report from the front line. If once we regain the master's advantage, we will change the information again, and it will not be too late to replan the route. That's right, this is just the beginning of the fight, and it's not right for us to change our plans at random. Gongyi nodded and said in agreement at this time. At this moment, the position of the front line has already begun to fight. How could Gongyi let go of this good moment to weaken them? Besides, Gaara, Kimimaro and the others have not acted according to the previous plan at all. Before they parted, they were all assigned tasks by Gongyi. Now, naturally, we are going to proceed according to Gongyi's plan. Front. At this time, Yamanaka Inoichi, he sat here quietly with his knees crossed. Now his face is actually a bit complicated, but it quickly disappeared. The information ahead continued, and many ninja teams began to emerge in an emergency situation. More and more impure world reincarnation troops are now constantly appearing on the front lines. And the 100,000 the power in the information, has not had much contact with them at all. Apparently, now with Akatsuki of Uchiha Madara, they have more intrigue. However, Yamanaka Inoichi did not report the news from the frontline analysis. And Han in Iwagakure village is the same, completely pretending not to know. They also got Gongyi's previous arrangement, and at this moment, they are ignoring all the emergency on the front line. Only in rare cases did they report selectively. Therefore, this will be Kung Fu, because of Gongyi's relationship. The progress of the entire Fourth Ninja World War has been invisibly accelerated a lot. The impure world reincarnation army, because they know their route, is now beginning to show a trend of anti-encirclement. They were all powerful ninjas in their lives, and now they die, although impure world reincarnation has weakened their power. However, they are not regular ninjas and can fight against them. At the same time, this skill, Uchiha Obito's 100,000 they are also beginning to infiltrate the entire ninja team. And most of them are quietly surrounded by the headquarters of Kumogakure village. Everything before is going according to Gongyi's plan. The 4 major ninja villages, only Gaara is clear now. Gongyi had spoken to him the day before the war. Although not all, but Gaara is naturally willing to show support. He has suffered from the pain of war, and at the same time longs for everlasting peace. Addition, Gongyi's heart for Gaara has left some indelible seeds. After. Now Gaara, of course, is also completing Gongyi's plan. Even if they were to pay the Sunagakure village ninjas at this moment, their few lives. However, from the perspective of true peace in the future, Gaara thinks it is worthwhile. Chapter 820. Obito and Kabuto. Mountain cemetery, in the dense jungle. She seems to be alive. Uchiha Obito looked at the person in front of him and said, "This woman has been chosen by Orochimaru-sama's spell." Sitting on a stone, looking ahead, he said slowly, "So it means that he still has the chakra of Lord Orochimaru in his body. Of course, at the same time, I can't really kill her. I saw the white snake behind him that looked like a tail, and at the moment it was wrapping a woman." She closed her eyes tightly and was still breathing weakly. Woman, it was Anko who stayed before and wanted to keep getting more information about Uchiha Obito. If you don't kill her now, are you still waiting for her to leak more information? Uchiha Obito looked at it and said coldly. Now he doesn't know how many secrets Gongyi knows, nor how much this Anko has investigated. 4. Uchiha Obito, if you only choose insurance, then immediately kill her. I want her to absorb Orochimaru-sama's chakra alive and recycle it later. Of silence, he did not listen to Uchiha Obito. After speaking, he smiled, and continued to speak lightly. It can be said that my body is Orochimaru-sama's body. In order to increase my own strength, I must do this, so that the binding force on impure world reincarnation can also be stronger. Pushing the round-framed eyes on his face, he smiled even more, and more importantly, impure world reincarnation needs a living body, and that's why it doesn't kill this woman. Increasing combat power is equivalent to increasing your contribution to you. Uchiha Obito, who had never spoken, said in a deep voice, I am right. But today's comrade in arms may become tomorrow's enemy, and it is entirely possible for you to fall into some kind of disadvantage for me for the sake of profit. Hearing Uchiha Obito finish speaking, He shook his head and smiled helplessly. If you say that, it seems that you still don't trust me at all. Then what do you need me to do? The technique of impure world reincarnation. I want you to prove it to me on the spot. Uchiha Obito looked at it and said lightly, does it really need to use a living human body, and tell me all its secrets, including, of course, how to stop it? Hee, what if I refuse? Eyes narrowed, the whole person seemed to be a little unhappy. Impure world reincarnation is his biggest hole card at the moment. But Uchiha Obito, who actually wanted to know how to use it, and how to stop it. It's not a child, how could it be possible to really give these? Say it to him, just give it to him directly. If you refuse, not only will you never get what you want, but even what you want will change accordingly. Uchiha Obito's tone was getting colder and colder, and it was obvious that he couldn't bear the slightest refusal now. Gongyi has been Uchiha Obito since the beginning. But when we got here, Uchiha Obito naturally couldn't do it. Old also let the others take the initiative. Then he guessed that he would really doubt it. Huh. Hearing Uchiha Obito finish saying this, his face sullen coldly. Now he clearly knows that it is not a wise move to fight against Rinnegan at present. Besides, he still has this other trump card, there is no need to be in a hurry. With my thoughts here, I looked at Uchiha Obito and nodded, okay. Night, quiet Shisui. Sky has been completely shrouded in darkness, and the stars are dotted on it. The bright full moon hangs high in the sky, reflecting the white light down. It should have been a night of rest, at the junction of the Kingdom of Thunder at this moment. The place was still vibrating, and the shouting continued. Ninjas are constantly intertwined, blooming with various lights. War is still on, it continues. Now there are 100,000 people, and they are naturally not tired and not afraid of death. And because of the appearance of Gongyi, the entire Fourth Ninja World War at this moment is completely different from the original. Situation is actually very obvious and very simple. 555 major alliances were blocked by the Impure World Reincarnation Army and tens of thousands of white Zetsu. Their goal seems to be very obvious, so it is to constantly weaken these ninja coalition forces. Damn, how would they know where we are? A Kurigakure village ninja, when he threw a kunai forward, he couldn't help but cursed in anger. Now he is a little embarrassed, and it seems that the battle for nearly a day has made him very tired. Don't run away, now we're holding on. At this time, Jonin, who was also disgraced in front of him, shouted hand seal with both hands. Kaden fire style, fire dragon flame technique. Chakra condenses frantically, releasing pieces of fire. Ah, help me. On the other side. Still, the side of the ninja unit that was struggling to resist, now began to scream. Impure World Reincarnation ninjas suddenly rushed out at an unknown time. Using a special secret technique, he began to rush into the crowd of this squad. Were angry shouts, and one by one the shocking sound of releasing ninjutsu. This melody kept repeating throughout the entire battlefield, making the supposedly quiet night a little more noisy. Scenes like this are being staged in various places at the moment. Although it was divided into major alliances at this moment, each major alliance also scattered a lot of small teams at the same time. Now they are like cannon fodder for death squads, constantly clearing obstacles for the big wing in the rear. But, now despite these small scattered troops, they continue to die in front and around. The large army also began to be hindered here. Before they officially surrounded the mountain cemetery, they were already blocked by Uchiha Obito and the forces arranged in the central area of the border between the Land of Thunder and the Land of Fire. It's a no man's land, but now it's different. Countless ninjas, all fighting each other, began to bite Kiba to kill. But with the whole day of fighting, they couldn't help but feel strange. Obviously, the information here has already begun to be transmitted back to the headquarters. But now, there is no news at all. They could not retreat and leave, and could only continue to advance forward. The allied ninjas of the 5 major ninja villages are all miserable now. Even the Konoha village, 21,000, the famous cannon fodder, they were all kept in the dark. Naturally I don't know now, they belong to Gong Yi's death squad cannon fodder. At this moment, they are also here, constantly wanting to wait for news from the rear. 555 Great Wings are also waiting for the plan of the rear headquarters at this moment. Pity, now they feel that the news they sent is like a stone sinking into the sea. To read the